Chapter 1425. After the tasks were assigned, everyone began to get busy. According to Mo Huai's estimation, the modification of the water wheel and the manufacturing and installation of the hydraulic stamping machine could be completed in 3 to 5 days. By then, they could begin to forge the plate armor. Moreover, with the hydraulic stamping machine, the overall forging level of the workshop would rise to a new level. Not only in terms of forging, but the workshop's electricity and metal refining technology would also rise to a new level. This was a comprehensive technological innovation that could be considered as an upgrade for the workshop. After the upgrade, the workshop would soon have the ability to manufacture the second generation of bicycles. Because of the hydraulic stamping machine, they could manufacture bicycle chains. The previous front-wheel drive bicycles could be eliminated. As for the electric motor that Mo Lingwei was building, this was also very important because electricity could not only be used to light up light bulbs, but it could also be used to power machines. Mr. Mo, what do you think of shouting? After leaving the workshop, Li Zexuan and Mo Huai went to Yinshan together. On the way, Li Zexuan suddenly asked. Hearing this, Mo Huai was stunned. After a while, he frowned and said, "Why did Yamacho suddenly mention young Master Yin?" I'm just asking casually. If Mr. Mo doesn't mind, you can say whatever you want." Li Zexuan laughed dryly and hurriedly said. He was trying to help his good brother sound out the situation. Mo Huai was silent for a moment and replied, "Although young Master Yin is the son of a minister, he's not like those hedonistic sons who spend all their time fooling around in brothels. Instead, he's willing to study and is ambitious. However, this kid keeps pestering my wire all day, which is really damaging my wire's reputation. If it weren't for Yamacho's face, I would have broken his legs a long time ago." At the end of his sentence, Mo Huai's originally amiable face suddenly changed into an angry expression. Li Zexuan laughed in his heart. "What do you mean by for my face? You're probably doing it for your daughter's face, right? If you break Yin Xiaoning's legs, let's see if Mo Lingwei won't make a fuss with you." Li Zexuan wanted to say, "You don't have to give me face, go ahead and do it," but he was worried that this would embarrass Mo Huai, so he coughed lightly and laughed. Ink Girl and Xiaoning are doing academic research. Mr. Mo, you really shouldn't care about those secular views. You should support them. Support? When Mo Huai heard this, he was so angry that he almost stomped his feet. He grunted and said, "This old man can't possibly support them to mingle together like this without any status." Even though the Mahis clan doesn't have many complicated formalities like the Confucian clan, this old man has no choice but to attach importance to a woman's reputation. When Yamacho has a daughter, he'll understand my current state of mind. It was impossible for him to support them fooling around like this without a proper title. Did that mean to say they could be together with their reputation? It seemed that Mo Huai didn't object to Mo Lingwei and Yin Xiaoning being together. What he objected to was that Yin Xiaoning was so close to Mo Lingwei without establishing a status with Mo Lingwei. He was hinting at Li Zexuan in a roundabout way. Li Zexuan thought that there was hope. He chuckled and said, "I roughly understand Mr. Mo's meaning. I'll immediately look for Xiaoning later and convey Mr. Mo's meaning to him so that he won't pester Ink Girl without any status in the future." Mo Huai nodded. After a moment of silence, he let out a heavy sigh and said, "Wei Er's mother passed away early, so I've naturally spoiled Wei Er too much all these years. That's why she has such an unruly character. I don't hope that she can marry into a noble family and live a life of wealth. I only hope that she can find someone she truly loves. Even if she's poor, as long as she can be happy, and safe." Li Zexuan turned his head to look at Mo Huai. His turbid eyes were filled with the vicissitudes of life and reluctance. His heart was slightly moved. The pitiful hearts of parents in the world. Mo Huai must have realized by now that the pearl in his palm was about to marry someone else, right? This made Li Zexuan feel conflicted. If he had a daughter with Han Yushi in the future, wouldn't he have to experience what Mo Huai was going through now? The people are starting to plant rice. At this moment, Li Zishuan noticed that there were people barefoot in the fields with their pants rolled up and planting rice in the paddy fields. He couldn't help but recall his childhood in his previous life. At that time, he had also helped his parents plant rice in the fields. Most of the areas in Chang and were plains. It was a warm temperate zone with a humid continental monsoon climate. The 4 seasons were distinct, and there was wheat and rice planted every year. This was very similar to Li Zishuan's hometown in his previous life. It was the middle of May, and it was the season to plant rice. That's right. Now that all the canals in Lantian County have water, the people have to take this opportunity to plant the rice seedlings. Otherwise, if they miss this opportunity, they won't be able to harvest anything during the autumn harvest. Mo Huai also turned his gaze to the fields by the roadside and said with a smile. Li Zishuan stopped in his tracks. He suddenly had the urge to go into the fields. He immediately took off his shoes and socks. Lu Feng, help me watch. I'll go down and help the old man plant the rice seedlings. With that, he had already taken off his shoes and socks, rolled up his pants, and was about to go into the fields. Mo Huai and the guard behind Li Zishuan, such as Lu Feng and Lu Yun, couldn't help but be stunned. The old farmer in the fields even widened his eyes, thinking that he had seen wrongly. The Marquis of Yong, and actually wanted to go into the fields to help him plant rice seedlings? Am I dreaming? Ho, Marquis, you can't do that. You absolutely can't do that. You have a precious body. How can you go into the fields? This field is full of mud, so don't dirty your feet. The old farmer rubbed his eyes and pinched his thigh. After confirming that he hadn't seen wrongly and that he wasn't dreaming, he hurriedly threw away the large bunch of seedlings in his hands. His body trembled as he walked quickly toward Li Zishuan. You're 4th Master Zhang, right? You must be careful, don't fall. I just suddenly wanted to plant rice seedlings in the fields. You go about your business, don't worry about me. Li Zishuan said with a smile. His memory was extraordinary, and he had the ability to remember everything he saw. He had some impression of this old man in front of him. He was Li Zheng from the Zhang family village in the west. He had seen him before when the people from the other villages came to Yin Mountain to learn how to plant cotton. Plant rice seedlings? Marquis, you absolutely can't do that. How can you do this kind of rough work? Even I can do it myself. 4th Master Zhang was shocked and hurriedly said, 4th Master Zhang, look at what you're saying. Everyone is born equal. If you can do the work of planting rice seedlings, why can't I do the same? Don't worry. I'm not the kind of hedonistic son who doesn't know anything about farming. I won't waste your seedlings. Li Zishuan smiled. As he spoke, he went forward to pick up a bunch of seedlings in the field. Then, he skillfully separated 3 to 4 seedlings from the bundle of seedlings and used his index and middle fingers to clamp the roots of the seedlings. His palms faced the seedlings, and his index and middle fingers followed the seedlings downwards, inserting them into the soil. This series of actions was simply too perfect. 4th Master Zhang, Mo Huai, Lu Feng, and the others on the ridge were all stunned, because at this moment, Li Zishuan didn't look like a marquis at all. He was simply like a genuine old farmer. It was truly inconceivable. 4th Master Zhang was stunned for a moment, then hurriedly joined the planting team. Li Zishuan's initial speed wasn't fast. After all, he hadn't planted rice in the field for many years. But once he got the hang of it, coupled with his super agile reaction speed, his planting speed couldn't be faster. 4th Master Zhang's jaw almost dropped because he couldn't see the movements of Li Zishuan's hands at all. He could only vaguely see a series of afterimages. What was even more terrifying was that Li Zishuan's planting speed had increased, but the quality didn't drop at all. The distance between the seedlings he planted was constant, about 2 fists wide. Moreover, every seedling stood upright, and none of them collapsed. In just a short while, Li Zishuan had already planted 2 rows of seedlings. From Mo Huai, Lu Feng, and the others' point of view, these 2 rows of seedlings were actually a perfectly straight line, as if they had been drawn with a ruler. Mo Huai raised his eyebrows in surprise. At first, he thought that Li Zishuan was only putting on an act. After all, in this era, even the emperor would bring the members of the royal family to work in the fields every year. This was to tell the people of the world that the royal family valued farming. Li Zishuan was putting on an act for the people of the fiefdom. But now, it seemed that Li Zishuan wasn't putting on an act for others to see. He was truly working seriously and immersing himself in it. A complicated look flashed across Mo Huai's eyes as he looked at Li Zishuan. Li Zishuan was knowledgeable in astronomy and geography. In the imperial court, he could govern the country and help the emperor. In the pugilistic world, he could plant rice for the people. Li Zishuan's many qualities had completely conquered Mo Huai. Saint. In Mo Huai's heart, perhaps only the word saint could represent Li Zishuan. I'll have to trouble the two little generals to help me look after my shoes. I'll go down and plant seedlings too. After sighing in his heart, Mo Huai rolled up his trousers, took off his shoes, and said to Lu Feng and Lu Yun, "Hey, Mr. Mo." Lu Feng was stunned. Then he was shocked. Just as he was about to dissuade him, Mo Huai had already gotten off the ground. Seeing that another person had come down to help him plant seedlings, and, judging from his clothes, he should be from Yanhuang College. Fourth Master Zhang was a little confused at this moment. He suspected that there was smoke rising from his ancestors' graves. Otherwise, why would the dignified Marquis of Great Tang and the respected teacher of Yanhuang College help him plant seedlings? "Yo, Mr. Mo, why did you come down too?" Li Zishuan noticed Mo Huai's arrival. As he spoke and laughed, his hands didn't stop moving at all. Mo Huai smiled and said, "Seeing the Yamacho happily planting seedlings in the field, I couldn't help but feel a little itchy, so I came down to have some fun too." With that, Mo Huai picked up a bunch of seedlings and began to plant them from the other end of the field. His movements were standard, and his speed wasn't slow at all. He was clearly an old hand. It was likely that when the Mo family lived in a remote place and didn't care about worldly affairs, Mo Huai also did a lot of farm work. The commoners who were busy working in the fields had long noticed the commotion here. At this moment, they all put down their farm work and ran over to look. It didn't matter if they didn't see it, but when they saw it, they couldn't help but click their tongues in wonder. Marquis actually personally helped Fourth Master Zhang plant seedlings? Fourth Master Zhang's ancestral graves are smoking, right? Isn't that so? If I were Fourth Master Zhang, I would definitely worship this land in the future. After all, these are seedlings planted by Marquis himself. Go away. Zhao Lauer, look at your useless appearance. What's wrong? If it were you, wouldn't you worship this land? You want me? If it were me, I would worship it too. Hey, quick, look. Marquis' planting speed is so fast. Wow, it's really fast. This speed is equivalent to 3 of me. That teacher from Yanhuang College is also planting seedlings very fast. At this rate, Fourth Master Zhang's 1 mu of land will probably be finished planting in half an hour. Marquis is really benevolent. I've never seen a Marquis who would help us plant seedlings, and he's planting them so well and so fast. Yeah, to have such a good Marquis, we're going to be blessed in the future. Everyone, quickly go back to work. The water in this field is not easy to come by. We have to hurry up. Don't let down Marquis' good intentions. The surrounding commoners watched the commotion and sighed for a while before returning to their own fields to work. Fourth Master Zhang, are you having any difficulties in your life recently? Just as the commoners had expected, in less than 30 minutes, all the seedlings in the field had been planted. Li Zishuan pulled Fourth Master Zhang to the edge of the field to rest, and then casually asked, "What's the matter?" Fourth Master Zhang was not as agitated as before. He had probably gotten used to it. When he heard the question, he quickly waved his hand and said, "No difficulties. No difficulties. Marquis, I'm doing very well. Previously, there was a shortage of water in the fields, but Marquis, you solved it. Now, everyone in the village is busy working in the fields. After all, now that we can plant seedlings, we have something to look forward to. Everyone is working energetically. I heard that many people in other counties are still working in their fields. We can only start planting seedlings so early because of you, Marquis. Also, many of the dead wheat in the wheat field have come back to life. In another 20 days, we can harvest the wheat. Although this year isn't a bumper harvest, we won't starve." Li Zishuan smiled with relief and said, "That's good. That's good. Fourth Master Zhang, if you have any difficulties in the future, you can go to the county to find County Magistrate He. If he doesn't help you, you can come to me again. I will make the decision for you and punish him severely. Fourth Master Zhang trembled and quickly said to Li Zishuan, Marquis, please don't say that. County Magistrate, he is also a good official. Before you came, County Magistrate, he was honest and upright. He was not like the officials in other counties, collecting exorbitant taxes from the commoners. He is a good official. Li Zishuan couldn't help but laugh and said, Ha ha! If County Magistrate, he knew that Fourth Master Zhang was praising him like this, he would probably wake up laughing in his dreams. All right, it's time for this Marquis to return. Fourth Master Zhang, don't worry. The taxes on the citizens of Lantian County will definitely be reduced year by year. Your lives will also be better year by year. I believe in Marquis. Marquis, take care. Fourth Master Zhang quickly got up from the ground and bowed to Li Zishuan. Chapter 1426. The people who suffer the most in this world are the common people who dig for food in the soil. After washing the mud off their hands and feet in the canal, Li Zishuan and Mo Huai put on their shoes and walked toward Cloud Mountain. As for Lu Feng, Lu Yun, and the other guards, Li Zishuan sent them back first. On the way, Li Zishuan couldn't help but sigh. It's the great fortune of the people of Lantian County that Marquis can understand this. With Marquis in Lantian County, the people of Lantian County will definitely live better than the people of other counties. Mo Huai smiled with his hands behind his back. Li Zishuan paused and raised his eyebrows. He looked at Mo Huai and said, Does Mr. Mo think so highly of me? Mo Huai shook his head and said, It's not that this Mo doesn't think highly of the Yamacho. It's that the Yamacho's heart drives the Yamacho to work for the well-being of the people. Today, the Yamacho personally planted rice for an old farmer. This kind of kindness can't be faked. This Mo hopes that the Yamacho can always remember and maintain this kind of kindness to benefit the people of the world. This is because engineering needs a saint. Engineering needs a saint. These short words caused Li Zishuan's heart to tremble, and he couldn't help but be stunned. Mo Huai's words seemed very simple, but they were actually very profound. Confucianism had been passed down for thousands of years without decline because of sage Confucius and his 3,000 disciples. The Taoists had Laozi, the Mahists had Mozi, and the legalists had Han Fizi. As for engineering, although there were more than 600 engineering disciples, they still lacked a saint who could represent engineering. A saint. Li Zishuan had never thought of becoming a saint, but after hearing Mo Huai's words today, he couldn't help but feel a rush of excitement. Speaking of which, if he could make engineering flourish and make the Tang Dynasty's industry prosper, wouldn't he also be able to become a saint who was revered by tens of thousands of people and whose name would go down in history? At that time, who would dare to say that engineering was a low-class miscellaneous study? At this thought, Li Zishuan couldn't help but become excited. But was the title of saint really what he wanted? Suddenly, Li Zishuan had such a thought. Under the temptation of the sage's name, this thought seemed so small, but it was so strong. It was like a weak spark in the dark night, stubbornly illuminating a space. A single spark could start a prairie fire. That wisp of starfire became more and more exuberant, burning crazily in the endless night, burning more and more fiercely. After Mo Huai waited for a long while, Li Zishuan finally spoke. He said softly, The title of saint is not something I want. Everything we do in our lives should be based on our hearts, punishing evil and promoting good, upholding justice, benefiting the common people, and living a carefree life. As for how the future generations evaluate me, what does that have to do with me? Let them say whatever they want to say about my merits and demerits. After these words, Li Zishuan only felt that his previously chaotic mind suddenly exploded with a bang, but soon became clear again. At the same time, the genuine qi in his dantian, which had been quiet for a long time, became a little restless at this time. The threshold of the late stage of Grandmaster seemed to have become a little loose. Since the battle with the bearded man last year, Li Zishuan had luckily entered the middle stage of Grandmaster. Since then, he had given up the idea of making progress in martial arts because he knew that on the road of martial arts, the further one went, the more difficult it would be. If he wanted to become a great Grandmaster like his master, spiritual master Ling Xiu, he might not be able to achieve it even if he spent his whole life. Instead of practicing martial arts 24 hours a day without rest, it was better to take time out to accompany his family and have fun. With his current status, there was no need for him to suffer. Moreover, Li Zishuan was a modern intellectual with high academic qualifications. He valued science and technology much more than martial arts. Therefore, for the past half a year, he had only practiced his sword for an hour every morning. After that, he would be busy with his fief and the matters of the academy. But he never expected that his dantian, which had been quiet for more than half a year, would become restless and active at this moment. He was very familiar with this feeling. It was the sign of the loosening of the realm and the hope of breaking through the realm. People like to say that fame and fortune are just fleeting clouds to show that they were indifferent to fame and fortune. But when great fame and fortune were really in front of them, how many people could resist the temptation? Li Zishuan resisted. In his life, he only did what he wanted to do. He practiced the Tao of following his heart, and everything went according to his heart. He did not want to be bound by the title of saint and be afraid of the slightest thing. It was because of this that he was able to have a clear mind at this moment. When Mo Huai heard Li Zishuan say that the title of saint is not what I want a moment ago, he could not help but feel a little disappointed. After all, if Li Zishuan could become a saint, it would be a huge blow to Confucianism. Although he did not expect Mo Huai to become a saint again, it did not mean that he could get used to the Confucianism that was spread all over the world now. Just as he was feeling disappointed, Mo Huai's expression suddenly changed, and he looked at Li Zishuan with a little fear in his eyes, because he felt the fluctuation of vital qi. Looking at Li Zishuan with his eyes closed and his face facing the sky, as if he was undergoing a heavenly connection, Mo Huai's heart suddenly surged with great waves of shock. Heavens! Could it be that Yamacho was going to break through the realm again? Did he have to be so monstrous? He had clearly just entered the mid-stage of Grandmaster last year. How long had it been? Why was he going to break through again? At this moment, Mo Huai could not care less about his disappointment. He quickly focused and guarded Li Zishuan to prevent anyone from disturbing Li Zishuan's epiphany. Fortunately, they were now beside the forest at the foot of the mountain. Usually, no one would come here at this time. While Mo Huai was guarding Li Zishuan, he looked at Li Zishuan with an extremely complicated expression. Perfect. Li Zishuan's martial arts, knowledge, and character were all dragons and phoenixes among men. If such a person had to be described with a word, it could only be perfect. Such a perfect young man with time and ability. If he did not become a saint, it would be a pity. Mo Huai sighed with regret in his heart. However, after Li Zishuan refused to become a saint, his thoughts were clear and he had an epiphany. This showed that the Tao he had chosen was the one that was most suitable for him. Thinking of this, the pity in Mo Huai's heart instantly turned into blessings for Li Zishuan. After an entire half an hour, the sky had completely darkened, and Li Zishuan finally opened his eyes. At the instant he opened his eyes, Mo Huai could clearly sense a strand of bright light flashing within those sharp eyes of Li Zishuan. How is it, Yamacho? Have you broken through? Mo Huai quickly asked. He asked because Li Zishuan's genuine qi was restrained. At this moment, he could not feel the fluctuation of genuine qi in Li Zishuan's body. Naturally, he could not see Li Zishuan's current realm. Li Zishuan shook his head and said with a wry smile, Mr. Mo, you must be joking. How can it be so easy to break through the realm after the Grandmaster? I just walked around the threshold just now. Mo Huai said seriously, Yamacho, this is already very good. Since you've already touched the threshold, It's only a matter of time before you break through. It's hard to imagine that Yamacho, you're not even 20 years old yet, and you're already at the threshold of the Grandmaster late stage. With this kind of martial arts aptitude, it's hard to find a second person in the world, let alone the entire Tang Empire. Li Zixuan only felt that his mind was clear and his body was comfortable. Hearing this, he smiled and said, "Ha ha, this is just pure luck. Mr. Mo, don't praise me. Maybe I'll become arrogant. It's getting late now. Let's go up the mountain quickly." With that, Li Zixuan led the way up the mountain. Mo Huai responded and followed him. "Oh, that's right." Li Zixuan suddenly stopped. With Mo Huai on his back, he said in a deep voice, "Mr. Mo, don't mention the sage in the future. Gong Xue is still a seedling. I don't want to stir up a dispute between the sects now. It's good that we're content with this corner of the world. Although a single spark can start a prairie fire, Gong Xue only has a few hundred disciples now. It's not enough to start a prairie fire." With that, Li Zixuan continued to walk up the mountain. And Mo Huai, who was following behind, couldn't help but feel a chill in his heart. Obviously, Li Zixuan had sensed his little thoughts, which made him feel a little ashamed. He thought to himself that he couldn't play any tricks in front of Li Zixuan in the future. The next day, after Li Zixuan finished his sword practice and had breakfast, he walked to Sun Simiao's courtyard. After he returned home last night, Han Yushi told him that Sun Simiao had looked for him yesterday afternoon, but he couldn't find him. Therefore, Li Zixuan came over personally. When he walked into Sun Simiao's courtyard, he saw that he was already helping Sun Simiao clean the courtyard. This little girl stayed at her house at night. Early in the morning, she would come to Yinshan to take care of Sun Simiao's daily needs and help Sun Simiao treat illnesses and save people. She really treated Sun Simiao as her savior and was trying her best to repay him. She wanted to repay Sun Simiao for letting her see the light again. She also wanted to repay Sun Simiao for curing her brother's stuttering. "Young master, you're here. Master and I went to the courtyard in the academy yesterday, but we couldn't find you. Master is reading a medical book in the backyard now. Go quickly." When Hu saw Li Zixuan, she hurriedly went forward and said with a smile. Li Zixuan smiled and said, "I was busy at the workshop at the foot of the mountain yesterday. I wasn't on the mountain. Actually, what did you guys look for me for yesterday?" Hu actually replied with an "oh," and replied, "Young master, the Tang Alliance Medical Center in Lantian County has been built. I'm guessing that master is looking for you because of this matter. Why don't you go to the backyard and ask him personally?" "What? The medical center is built? When was it built? Where is it built?" Li Zixuan was stunned. He had never heard of any medical center being built in Lantian County. How could it be built so suddenly? It was built 2 days ago. It's built in Yong and Lane in the county. It's not far from Young Master's marquee mansion. In the past, Young Master told Master that the medical center should be divided into departments. This time, Master built the medical center according to your wishes. That medical center is huge. There are over 30 rooms. Over 30 rooms? Can 30 rooms be considered big? This is still considered a county hospital, right? How can it be so shabby? Unexpectedly, why didn't Dao's son discuss with me when he built the medical center? Also, where did he get the money to build the medical center? Li Zixuan said helplessly, who thought for a while and replied, "Young master, you've been so busy recently that I can't even see your shadow. Master felt that you seem to have forgotten that you promised him to help build the medical center. A few days ago, he went to find county magistrate he. As for where Master got the money to build the medical center, I don't know. You should ask Master personally." Li Zixuan couldn't help but pat his forehead. If he didn't mention it today, he would have been so busy that he had forgotten about the medical center. He coughed embarrassedly and said, "Cough, cough. Okay, I'll go find Dao's son. You're busy with your things." After saying that, he quickly went to the backyard. "Well, Xiaoxian, you're here? Have a seat." In the backyard, Sun Simiao was reading medical books and taking notes under a small pavilion. He sensed someone coming and looked up. When he saw that it was Li Zixuan, he smiled and pointed to the stone bench opposite him. Li Zixuan saw that Sun Simiao didn't mean to blame him and couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. He sat down and asked Sun Simiao tentatively, Daoist Sun, I heard that the county's joint medical center has been built? Hearing that, Sun Simiao put down the medical book and nodded. Yes, I came to find you yesterday for this matter. Now that the medical center has been built, it must be put into use as soon as possible to treat patients. Otherwise, wouldn't it be a waste to leave so many rooms empty? Li Zixuan smiled and nodded. Yes. Daoist Sun is right. It should be put into use as soon as possible. Oh, right. I heard that there are more than 30 rooms in the medical center. Is that true? Sun Simiao said, yes. It's true. I was thinking that if the medical center was divided into departments, it would need to prepare more rooms. I'm not wasting your money on purpose. Li Zixuan shook his head. No, that's not what I meant. I just think that you prepared too few rooms. You should prepare at least 100. That's not right. What do you mean by saying that you're wasting my money? Are you saying that you're using my money to build the medical center? Sun Simiao raised his eyebrows and said, yes. Xiaoxian, didn't you say that you would fully support me in developing and spreading medicine in Lantian County? You said that the manpower, material, and financial resources would be provided by you. Of course, the money to build a medical center should be provided by you too. Oh, right. The county government still owes the people money for the construction. Xiaoxian, you should pay the money as soon as possible. Li Zixuan was stunned. He didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Obviously, Sun Simiao was using his name to ask a county magistrate to gather a construction team to build the medical center. He didn't expect Sun Simiao to be so naughty at his age. It seemed that he shouldn't be called Li Shizen's naughty, but Sun Simiao's naughty. Ahem. Good. I'll go to the county government later and settle the debt with county magistrate. You don't have to worry, Daoist Sun. Although old Sun was a little naughty, he had promised to help Sun Simiao build the medical center. Therefore, he had to pay for it. Sun Simiao nodded and sighed. Xiaoxian, the medical center has been built, but it still lacks a lot of doctors. You have to help me. Chapter 1427. Don't worry, Taoist Sunday. I'll go to the editorial department in a while and ask them to publish a notice on tomorrow's Tang Daily. I don't believe that we can't recruit people with money. At that time, the people we recruit will be personally tested by you, Taoist Sunday. Not only will they be tested on medical skills, but they will also be tested on medical ethics. Our Tang Empire's joint medical center will definitely not recruit those doctors with corrupt medical ethics and evil intentions. Yinshan Villa. Li Zixuan heard Sun Simiao say that the medical center lacked doctors, so he said with a smile. Sun Simiao nodded and said, you don't need to say that. I'll do it. Those with bad medical ethics will only damage the reputation of our medical center. But Xiaoxian, there's something I have to tell you first. The Tang United Medical Center can't monopolize the doctors in the world and drive up the medical fees. Otherwise, I won't work for you. The scale of the Tang United Medical Center was huge. At least in this era where private medical centers were popular, the scale of the Tang United Medical Center was definitely the top. The bigger the scale, the more doctors they could recruit, and the private medical centers among the people would inevitably be excluded. At that time, once the private medical centers could no longer survive, the Tang United Medical Center would form a monopoly. Li Zixuan hurriedly said, Taoist priest, you are looking down on me by saying this. The Tang Empire Joint Medical Center was established with the purpose of saving the dying and healing the wounded and benefiting the common people. Even if you didn't say it, I wouldn't do such a wicked thing as raising the medical fees. In the future, the Tang United Medical Center will be curated by Taoist Sunday. Everything will be decided by you, including the pricing power of the medical fees. You can order as many as you want, but don't let me lose too much. After all, a medical center is a medical center, not a charity organization like the Nguyen Tang Foundation. Although Sun Simiao didn't care about the position of curator, he thought that the curator could control the pricing power. After weighing the pros and cons, he finally agreed. Okay, this humble Taoist will accept the position of curator for the time being. When there is a suitable candidate in the future, this humble Taoist will step down. As for the price of the consultation fee, let's follow the average price of the current folk medical centers. This way, Shaoxian, you won't lose money, and it won't cause the other folk medical centers to have no patients. Li Zixuan had to admit that Old Sun's consideration of the problem was very thorough. He even considered the survival of the civilian medical center. This made Li Zixuan admire him. This old Taoist really had the heart of a bodhisattva. Haha, that would be for the best. After leaving Sun Simiao's place, Li Zixuan first went to the workshop and told the editorial department to put a recruitment notice for the Tang Empire Joint Medical Center and the Yanhuang College Medical School in a prominent position in the Datong Daily tomorrow. He also went to check on the progress of the technical upgrading of the workshop. Then, he went to the county government in the county. County magistrate, how much did the Tang Alliance Medical Center cost? Li Zixuan asked county magistrate when he arrived at the back hall of the county government. He came here today to help Sun Simiao settle the project debt. When county magistrate heard this, he immediately cheered up and said, Marquis, please wait for a moment. I will go and get the account book now. Li Zixuan frowned and said, Why do you want to get the account book? Just tell me how much it cost. Do you think I don't trust you? County magistrate, he had a good reputation as an official. He wasn't greedy for money and wasn't lustful. Other than being a little less daring at critical moments, he was generally a good official. Li Zixuan didn't believe that he would have the guts to embezzle money from him. Thank you for your trust, Marquis. The Tang Alliance Medical Center cost 4,276 strings of coins, including wages, materials, and tools. Marquis has been busy with official business recently. I can't disturb Marquis for such a small matter. Therefore, I will still pay on credit. For the rest, I will use the county government's savings to pay for Marquis. County magistrate, he was flattered by Li Zixuan's trust. He cupped his hands and said, Okay, later, you can ask someone to get the money from the housekeeper of my residence. In the future, you can also go directly to the housekeeper. The money for the craftsmen and the workers can't always be in arrears. Li Zixuan nodded his head and said sincerely and earnestly, Yes, Marquis. County magistrate, he hurriedly said yes. Li Zixuan was silent for a moment before he suddenly said, The taxes and provisions collected by the county in the past were all handed over to the Chong and governor's office. Now that Lantian County is this Marquis's fief, it is reasonable to say that all of the annual income should be handed over to me. However, this Marquis is unwilling to be a money grubber. Therefore, a portion of the taxes collected by Lantian County each year can be allocated by the county yamen. County magistrate, he was shocked. Didn't all the fiefs of the nobles in the world have all the taxes collected by the fief owner? Who would be like Li Zixuan, handing over the taxes to the county government? He subconsciously thought that Li Zixuan was testing him with money, so he hurriedly cupped his hands and said, Marquis, you can't do that. You can't do that. This county government is just a place to solve cases for the people. How can it be qualified to allocate a county's taxes? This is overstepping its authority and is also against the rules. This lowly official doesn't dare to comply. Li Zixuan shook his head and said, County magistrate, you're wrong. Lantian County's county government is not only used to solve cases for the people, it should also play a role in maintaining public order and the welfare of the people. In the future, the county government will have the right to allocate a portion of the annual taxes to build a city and do some public works that can improve the livelihood of the people. For example, the Tang Empire's Joint Medical Center this time is specially used to provide health services for the tens of thousands of people in Lantian County. This Marquis can fork out the money to build the medical center because the taxes collected by the county government are not much. In addition, the county government also spent a lot of money to build the canals a while ago. However, in the early stages of the establishment of the medical center, the purchase of medicinal herbs and the recruitment of doctors with superb medical skills all needed to be invested in it. This money will have to be paid by the county government in the future. In addition, the renovation of Lantian County that I mentioned to you before can start now. It must be done in the shortest time possible to turn all the roads in the county into cement roads. This Marquis will not ask the county government for money for the cement needed to build the roads. However, County magistrate, there is one thing you need to remember. When a county magistrate collects taxes from the commoners and merchants, it must be taken from the commoners and used by the commoners. You must not fill your own pockets. In the end, you will enrich the county magistrate and impoverish the commoners. If that happens, I will remove you from your position. Li Zixuan's intention was actually very simple. He wanted to use the county government's initiative to increase the scope of the county government's authority. Not only did the county government have a right to solve cases, it also had the obligation to use taxes, build infrastructure, and benefit the people. This was a bit similar to the modern-day county government. As a feudal lord, Li Zixuan actually did not want to interfere too much with the management of the fief. He only wanted to take care of the general direction. If the county government officials could think of ways to let the people live a good life without his guidance, then Li Zixuan would be very happy to see it. Take from the people and use it for the people. County magistrate, his eyes lit up. He had never heard of such a novel idea before. In China's thousands of years of feudal dynasties, taxes were collected from the people to govern the country and feed the army. At most, they would give some money and food when there was a disaster. It would be like Li Zixuan, who directly let the county government transfer the collected taxes to build roads and medical centers for the people. County magistrate, he muttered to himself and cupped his hands in respect. Marquis treats the people with benevolence and benevolence. He will definitely receive the people's heartfelt love and respect. This official can help Marquis govern Lantian. It is truly a blessing of 3 lifetimes. Marquis, don't worry. This official will definitely implement Marquis' take from the people and use it for the people governing philosophy and let the people of Lantian live a good life. Li Zixuan nodded and said, the population of Lantian County is still too small. Many of the lands are uncultivated. We can only implement benevolent policies to allow more citizens to migrate to Lantian County. This way, our county will be able to prosper and prosper. Moreover, in addition to the medical center, I also want to wait for an opportunity to introduce a cooperative medical system to reduce the burden of medical treatment for the people. Cooperative medical system? Marquis, what do you mean? County magistrate, he was suddenly puzzled. Li Zixuan thought for a while and replied, as the name suggests, this cooperative medical system is a medical treatment model where if one person is sick, the whole people will share the medical treatment. Every household only needs to pay a small sum of money every year to join the cooperative medical system. Within the validity period, as long as they are sick, they will be able to enjoy a certain percentage of the medical treatment fee and medical treatment fee reduction at the Tang United Medical Center. This will greatly reduce the burden of medical treatment for the people. It was the first time county magistrate he had heard of this cooperative medical system. He couldn't help but be surprised. At the same time, his mind was spinning rapidly as he weighed the feasibility of Li Zixuan's plan. After pondering for a while, county magistrate, he opened his mouth and said, Marquis, how can a person not fall sick after eating all kinds of crops? Moreover, among the people, there are many people who still have old illnesses. These old illnesses are not only time-consuming and laborious to treat, but also costly. In this way, if we charge too much money, the enthusiasm of the people to join the cooperative medical system will be greatly reduced. However, if we charge too little money, the amount of money we have to spend every year to fill this hole will definitely not be a small amount. It had to be said that county magistrate, he was a discerning person. He could see the hidden problems in the cooperative medical system at a glance. Li Zixuan nodded and said, You are right. This cooperative medical system is indeed not enough, so I didn't ask you to implement it immediately. However, one thing is certain. The county government will not charge too much for the cooperative medical system. Otherwise, it will go against my original intention. As for the annual deficit, it will be subsidized by the taxes collected by the county government every year. Therefore, if we want to implement the cooperative medical system, the county government must have money. This is also why I set up the Department of Commerce and reformed the business tax. The more money we have, the more things we can do. The cooperative medical system he was talking about was actually the modern cooperative medical system in rural areas. It was a little similar to medical insurance. Although it was a little ahead of its time in the Tang Empire, Li Zixuan felt that when his feast finances were strong, it was very necessary to implement it throughout the county. County magistrate, he was suddenly enlightened. He said with admiration, "Marquis has great foresight. Your plan is truly admirable. Now that the business of our Lantian County is thriving, the opposition of the merchants to the new business tax law is getting lesser and lesser. The time for us to implement the cooperative medical system to the people is just around the corner." Yes. However, although this marquis has given the county government the right to control the taxes, the county government must also prevent corruption. From now on, every sum of money that the county government pays must be recorded clearly. This marquis will send someone to check the accounts every 3 months. So, you have to take good care of the money for this marquis. Li Zixuan said sternly. County magistrate, his heart trembled. He quickly replied, "Yes, sir." The next day, the 2 announcements on Tang Daily attracted the attention of many people. Lantian County's Tang Empire Joint Medical Center has been established. Sun Simiao is the head of the medical center. Many medical experts have been gathered to treat difficult and complicated diseases for the people. The fees are fair and honest. As the medical center has just been established, we are recruiting a large number of people with excellent medical skills and high medical ethics. Their monthly salary will be constant. Those who are both virtuous and skilled will have no upper limit on their salary and will be treated well. In terms of medical skills, they may even receive personal guidance from Head Sun. Those who are interested, please go to Lantian County's Yong and Lane Tang Empire Joint Medical Center to sign up and accept the examination. Yanhuang College's School of Medicine has been established. The previous students of the academy will be integrated into Yanhuang College's School of Engineering. The head of the medical center will be Sun Simiao. Among them, there are 2 doctors from the Imperial Physician Bureau. Their medical skills are superb, and their medical ethics are noble. We are now recruiting medical students who aspire to become doctors to study medicine in the future. Those who are interested in medical skills, please go to Tang Daily's offices to sign up. On July 15th, together with the students who are applying for Yanhuang College's School of Engineering, come to Yinshan to take the entrance examination. The examination content for medical students will be announced in 2 days. Of the 2 announcements, one was about the Joint Medical Center of Tang Dynasty, and the other was about the enrollment notice of Yanhuang Academy's medical school. It caused a great reaction among the people. After dinner, the people couldn't help but gather in groups to discuss it. Tang Empire Joint Medical Center? Dr. Sun is the head of the medical center? Then this medical center is too amazing. If I fall sick in the future, I must go there. That's a must. Dr. Sun's medical skills are known all over the world. With him around, is there any illness that can't be cured? I just don't know how the consultation fees are collected. Look, the salary that Tang Empire Joint Medical Center gives to the doctors is so high. In my opinion, the consultation fee definitely won't be too high. After all, the head of this joint clinic is Divine Dr. Sun, and the founder is the Marquis of Yong. Both of them are immortal-like figures, so how could they possibly earn this kind of money that goes against their conscience? Don't worry. Right. With Dr. Sun and Marquis Yong, and this medical center definitely won't harm the people. It's just that this medical center is in Lantian County and not in Chang'an City. It's a bit inconvenient to run around. TSK, the salary that this medical center gives to the doctors makes me want to go. Hey, you're such a short-sighted guy. The salary is secondary. Do you understand? The most important thing is that if you go to the medical center, you'll have the chance to ask Dr. Sun for advice. This is something that can't be exchanged for with any amount of money. Deshun is right. To be able to ask Dr. Sun for advice on medicine, how many people can only dream of it? It's a pity that no one in our family knows medicine. It doesn't matter if no one knows medicine. Didn't you see it on the newspaper? Yanhuang College's medical center is recruiting students. Let your eldest child take the exam. If he passes, not only will he be able to go to Yanhuang College, he will also be able to receive personal guidance from Dr. Sun Hey, why didn't I think of that? I'll let my eldest child register. That kid has always wanted to be a doctor. Right. I'll also let my second child take the exam for Yinhuang College's medical center. Uh, Chapter 1428. The announcement of the Tang Dynasty daily stirred up a heated discussion among the people again. The generous conditions offered by the Tang Dynasty United Medical Center to the doctors made many doctors around Chang and feel a rush of excitement. After all, the monthly salary of many doctors in the private medical centers was not even enough to reach the usual amount. Not to mention the possibility of receiving guidance from Sun Simiao after going to the Tang Empire Joint Medical Center. All these benefits attracted many people who were proficient in medicine and wanted to go to the Tang Empire Joint Medical Center to participate in the examination. The doctors in charge of the private medical centers began to think about what excuse to take leave 3 days later so that they could go to the Joint Medical Center in Lantian County to participate in the examination. If he were to be selected, then he would have an iron rice bowl in the future. After all, the Tang Alliance Medical Center was backed by the Lantian County Yamen and Lisa Schwan. Basically, it would not collapse. As for a small medical center among the people, if there were a day when the number of people who came to see a doctor decreased and they could no longer earn money, then he would very likely be fired. In contrast, there was nothing wrong with saying that the Tang Empire Joint Medical Center was an iron rice bowl. Therefore, after the doctors in the private medical centers learned about the announcement on Datang Daily, almost all of them wanted to apply for a job at the Tang Empire Joint Medical Center. However, this was a tough situation for the managers of the small private medical centers. They also knew that they had no advantage compared to the Tang Empire Joint Medical Center. In order to retain their doctors, they had to increase their doctors' salaries. After such a fuss, in the entire Chang, in city, and the surrounding counties, there were basically no medical centers that gave their doctors a lower salary than usual. This also greatly reduced the loss of talent in the private medical centers and resolved the devastating blow brought by the announcement on Datang Daily to the private medical centers. This was also what Lisa Schwan and Sun Simiao wanted to see. They never had the intention to wipe out the private medical centers. The Tang Empire Joint Medical Center was equivalent to a modern state-owned enterprise, and the small private medical centers were equivalent to private enterprises. The joint development of the two economies was a healthy development. Otherwise, it would be easy to form a monopoly. In addition, there were quite a lot of people who wanted to apply for Yinhuang College's medical school. After all, this medical school not only carried Sun Simiao's name, but also hung the signboard of Yinhuang College. Today's Yinhuang College was no longer a nameless college like last year. It was already famous. Those young people who thought they couldn't get into the Yinhuang College's School of Engineering and had the ambition to be a doctor all turned their attention to the medical college entrance exam. Many people ran to the nearest Datang Daily office to sign up before noon after reading the newspaper. As time went by, the news would spread wider and wider. There would be more and more people who knew about it and were willing to sign up for the entrance exam. This directly caused a certain amount of pressure on the Imperial Medical Department in Chang and City, because the Imperial Medical Department was not only responsible for treating the diseases of the nobles in the palace, but also for training medical students. Now that Yinhuang College had established a medical school, the number of students who applied for the Imperial Medical Department this year was bound to decrease. Not only that, many of the current students in the Imperial Medical Department wanted to directly leave the department midway and take this year's entrance exam of Yinhuang College's medical school. This was because Sun Simiao and the previous two respected doctors from the Imperial Medical Department, Dr. Qin and Dr. Wang. However, although the medical college's enrollment announcement had a certain impact on the Imperial Medical Department, the impact was very limited. After all, the Imperial Medical Department had a unique and incomparable advantage. That was, the students who entered here had a chance to become an imperial doctor in the future and had a chance to become an official. A medical officer was also an official. Based on this point alone, the Yinhuang College's medical school couldn't compare with it. As for the Tang Joint Medical Center, although the examination and recruitment of doctors would start 3 days later, Sun Simiao didn't want the medical center to be so empty, so he opened the medical center in advance. As for the doctors in the medical center, there were temporarily the three of them: Sun Simiao, Dr. Qin, and Dr. Wang. Hu Jing and the two students from the Imperial Medical Department that Dr. Qin brought with him when he joined Yanhuang College were assistants. According to the original plan, the medical center's lobby on the first floor should have an inquiry desk and a registration desk. The medical center should also be divided into 7 departments: internal medicine, surgery, pediatrics, gynecology, acupuncture, ENT, and orthopedic. However, because of the lack of manpower, Sun Simiao and the others took the simplest way of waiting in line to treat the patients who came to the joint medical center. The three of them were all people with excellent medical skills, so naturally they could treat any disease in any department. In fact, strictly speaking, Chinese medicine didn't need to be divided into departments, because Chinese medicine was a holistic system, unlike Western medicine, which was divided into many small parts. However, the reason why it was divided into departments was that the doctors who came from the common people certainly didn't have excellent medical skills like Sun Simiao and Dr. Qin, who could easily solve all kinds of difficult and complicated diseases. Everyone actually had their own strengths, and the division of departments was undoubtedly to bring everyone's strengths to the extreme. Old lady, you have a deficiency of yin and internal heat, which can be seen from the internal disturbance. Your heart is in a mess, and your spirit can't be controlled. It seems to be bloated, but it's not bloated. You feel stuffy. Have you been having trouble eating and sleeping recently? At this time, Sun Simiao had just finished feeling the pulse of an old woman and said, "Yes, yes, yes. Dr. Sun, you are really amazing. I not only have no appetite recently, but I'm also often upset. I can't sleep all night." The old woman hurriedly said. An old man next to the old woman looked at Sun Simiao eagerly and asked, "Dr. Sun, do you think my old lady's illness can be cured?" Sun Simiao smiled slightly. He picked up the writing brush and calmly replied as he wrote, "This old lady has a deficiency of yin and yang. It's just a minor illness, so you don't have to worry. I'll give you a prescription to calm your nerves and nourish your qi. After 3 days, the illness will be cured. This is the prescription. Keep it well. There aren't any medicinal herbs in the clinic for the next few days, so take the prescription and go to other pharmacies to get the herbs." While speaking, Sun Simiao had already finished writing the prescription and handed it to the old couple. The old man quickly thanked him profusely. "Thank you, Dr. Sun. Thank you, Dr. Sun. How much is the consultation fee?" Sun Simiao stretched out a finger and said, "The consultation fee is 100 copper coins." 100 copper coins? The old man was a little surprised when he heard this. When he brought his wife to the magnificent joint medical center, he saw how grand and luxurious the medical center was. He thought that the consultation fee and medicinal fees in this medical center would be much more expensive than other places. But who knew that this was not the case? The consultation fee of the joint medical center was basically the same as the consultation fee of the small medical centers outside. It was even cheaper than some. How could he not be surprised? Good, good, good. This is 100 copper coins. Thank you, Dr. Sun. Thank you, Dr. Sun. The old man quickly took out 100 copper coins and then left with the old woman, thanking her profusely. In fact, the old man was not the only one who was surprised by the friendly consultation fee of the Tang Joint Medical Center. The people who came to see the illness today were definitely here for the 3 famous doctors, Sun Simiao, Dr. Qin, and Dr. Wang. But at the same time, they were also a little nervous because they didn't know how much the Joint Medical Center charged. Now that they knew that the consultation fee of the Tang Joint Medical Center was almost the same as outside, or even much less than the consultation fee of those black-hearted medical centers, the people were all overjoyed and ran to spread the news. This reputation soon spread out. Chapter 1429. In the future, Lantian County won't be the only joint medical center in the Tang Empire. We will strive to have a joint medical center in every one of the 300 provinces and counties in the Tang Empire. This is a difficult project, and it will require a lot of manpower, material resources, and financial resources. However, our top priority now is to set up the medical center in Lantian County and make a name for ourselves. Only then will we be able to open joint medical centers in other places more smoothly. The Tang Empire Joint Medical Center in Lantian County had been running well in the past 2 days. On this day, Li Zixuan gathered the main personnel in the medical center and held a small work deployment meeting. Because the medical center would be recruiting doctors tomorrow, the medical center would slowly get on the right track, and some things had to be arranged in advance. Tomorrow, there will be many doctors coming to apply for the job. Dao is son, and the 2 doctors must check carefully. Those who have bad medical ethics and bad intentions, no matter how good their medical skills are, cannot be hired by our joint medical center. On the contrary, although some people's medical skills are lacking, if they have noble medical ethics and are diligent and eager to learn, we can also relax the conditions to recruit them and train them well. There is no limit to the number of doctors who can pass your eyes. We will recruit as many doctors as we can. First, the scale of the medical center is too small, and I will recruit more craftsmen to expand it later. Second, when the Tang Empire Joint Medical Center is established in other provinces and counties, we will definitely need to transfer some elites over. Third, Yinhuang College's medical school also needs a group of teachers. When the time comes, we will need to transfer a group of experienced doctors to teach there. It could be considered as a part-time job for both sides. Li Zixuan's words sounded rich and overbearing, but that was the truth. The joint clinic was in need of doctors, and so was the Yinhuang Academy's medical school. This time, they could use Sun Simiao's prestige and great reputation in the apricot forest to attract a large number of doctors to join. Hearing this, Sun Simiao nodded and said, "Little Xian, we understand what you mean. Tomorrow, we will recruit a group of excellent doctors for you." Dr. Qin and Dr. Wang also smiled and agreed. Li Zixuan nodded and said, "Then I will have to trouble you all tomorrow." Now, all kinds of herbs and tools have been prepared in our medical center. After we recruit all the doctors tomorrow, we can officially open for business and treat the illnesses of the common people. Sun Simiao couldn't help but smile. The emergence of the Tang Empire Joint Medical Center and the Yinhuang College Medical School ignited a fire in his heart, a fire that spread the medical knowledge. He felt that what Li Zixuan said to him before was very reasonable. No matter how good his medical skills were, he couldn't save all the patients in the world. However, if he passed his medical skills to the doctors in the world, the result would be very different. It was precisely because of this that Sun Simiao, who had always been indifferent to fame and fortune, agreed to serve as the director of the Joint Medical Center and the dean of Yinhuang College's School of Medicine. One had to know that when Li Zixuan asked Sun Simiao to serve as the head of the Imperial Medical Center, Sun Simiao did not agree. Now that Li Zixuan asked Sun Simiao to serve in 2 important positions at the same time, Sun Simiao agreed. Who knew if Old Li would be angry when he found out? Little Xian, if I remember correctly, you should have a set of self-made blood transfusion needles, right? I don't know if you can leave some in the medical center. In case you encounter a patient who is bleeding heavily, it can play a key role. Just as Li Zixuan was about to announce the end of the meeting, Sun Simiao suddenly remembered that Li Zixuan had transfused blood to Qin Xiong last year. So he quickly said. Li Zixuan's heart moved, and suddenly some ideas came to his mind. After a moment of silence, he nodded and said, "Of course. In addition to the blood transfusion needles, I will also get a batch of disposable rubber gloves, medical disinfectant alcohol, masks, and so on. In the future, all the doctors involved in all the surgical operations in the medical center must wear gloves and masks, and their hands and instruments must be disinfected with alcohol. In addition, I have a set of wound suturing methods here. When I have time, I will teach it to the surgeons in the medical center." Ever since he had rubber, Li Zixuan could not only make rubber needles, but also rubber gloves. This was very useful in surgical operations. Thinking back to the time when he had transfused blood to Qin Xiong, He had made the needles from disinfected duck intestines. It was simply too low class. As for the wound suturing techniques, he did not intend to keep it a secret. Teaching it to the doctors in the hospital so that they could save more people would be a great merit. Wound suturing? There's such a treatment method? It's amazing. Yamacho, you have to keep your word. In the future, you must come and teach this method to the doctors in our medical center. Hearing this, Dr. Chin was pleasantly surprised. Of course. Li Zixuan nodded. Seeing that no one had anything else to say, he decisively announced the end of the meeting. It happened to be noon, and there were no patients lining up in front of the medical center. They had probably all gone home for lunch. Li Zixuan invited Sun Simiao, Dr. Chin, Dr. Wang, Hu Jing, and the 2 former students of the Imperial Medical Department to Zuaxian restaurant for lunch. Marquee. Not good. There are many women surrounding the Tang daily office in Chang'an City. After lunch, Pang Feiji rushed to Li Zixuan and reported to him as soon as he came out of the Zuaxian restaurant. Chicken Bro had just gone through a big wedding, but he was still very dedicated. He reported back to Yunshan the day after the wedding. Now he had become Li Zixuan's personal bodyguard, running errands and delivering messages for Li Zixuan everywhere. Li Zixuan heard this and could not help but frown. He asked in confusion, "The Tang daily office is surrounded by women? Why is that?" Pang Feiji wiped his sweat and said awkwardly, "Marquis, the reason for this is that a few women wanted to sign up for the Yanhuang College Medical School's entrance exam. But since ancient times, there has been no precedent of women entering the school. The people in the office rejected them, but the women did not let it go. They said that in the Datong Daily's admission notice, there was no restriction that only men could sign up. Their ruckus attracted even more women to join them. They said, why can't women enter the school? Why can't women study medicine? There are even female medical officers in the palace." After hearing Pang Feiji's words, Li Zixuan felt like 10,000 alpacas were running through his heart. How could this be blamed on the admission notice he had written? Was it the admission notice in ancient times that only men were admitted? Did it need to be specifically stated? Sun Simiao, Dr. Chin, and Dr. Wang all frowned. This was not an easy matter to deal with. Then let the Datong Daily office in Chang and City close early today. We can't afford to offend them, but can't we avoid them? Li Zixuan said helplessly. Li Zixuan could not force the women who wanted to go to the medical school to study, because he had never hit women. However, it was also impossible for him to let them go as they wished. Allowing women to enter the school was a crime against the world. When the time came, those Confucian defenders would definitely gang up on him. This was a red line. Once crossed, there was a high possibility of being consigned to eternal damnation. Li Zixuan did not want to take this risk. He did not want to be entangled in trouble and bicker with people every day. Therefore, the only thing he could do now was to escape. It was not that he was biased against women, but the times did not allow it. Yes, Marquis. Pang Feiji heard this and hesitated for a moment. Then, he cupped his fists and hurriedly left. Sun Simiao, who was at the side, said worriedly, Xiao Xian, hiding like this is not a solution. The Datong Daily office is still open for business. You can hide for a while, but you can't hide forever. From what I see, why don't you tell the world about this in tomorrow's newspaper? Then, those women will stop bothering you. Professor Qi nodded and said, yes. Xiao Xian, hiding like this is not a solution. Why don't we do as Priest Sun said? At this moment, Li Zixuan's mind was occupied with other matters. Hearing that, he only replied indifferently, I got it. Actually, he was thinking in his heart, even if tomorrow's newspaper said that women were not allowed to enter the school, would these women really give up? Sir, you're finally back. When he returned to the home mansion, Xiao Yu hurriedly greeted him as soon as he stepped through the door. The workshop was undergoing technical upgrades. Recently, Li Zixuan and Han Yushi had returned to the county to live. He did not expect Li Yu to find him here. It seemed like she had something urgent to tell him. Li Zixuan quickly stopped in his tracks and looked at Li Yu. He asked, what's wrong? Xiao Yu, you're looking for me today? Of course. Xiao Yu nodded and said, Sir, There are many commoner women who want to apply for Yanhuang College's medical school, but they were rejected by your subordinates. You have to make a decision for those women, right? Make a decision? Make a decision for what? Li Zixuan was puzzled. Then, he rubbed his eyebrows helplessly and said, Xiao Yuer, I can't make a decision for them. On the admission notice, although it didn't say that women were not allowed to apply, shouldn't it be tacitly agreed? Since ancient times, where has there been a precedent of women entering the school? I can't help you with this, otherwise, Yanhuang College will be in big trouble. Sir, I misjudged you. Xiao Yuer pouted and suddenly said angrily, I always thought that you were a different person. I didn't expect you to look down on women like those Confucian scholars. What's wrong with women? There are some things that women are not worse than men. Sir, what right do you have to look down on women? Besides, although there has been no precedent of women entering the school since ancient times, there are many precedents of women studying medicine. The Imperial Medical Department recruits many female students every year to act as female medical officers in the palace. Why can't Yanhuang College's medical school recruit women? Sir, when have you become so pedantic? After knowing Li Yu for so long, Li Zixuan had never seen Li Yu so angry. It was as if she was angry and unwilling to accept the fact that her idol had some flaws. After Xiao Yuer finished speaking, she snorted and turned her head to walk out of the door angrily. Hey, Xiao Yuer, wait. Previously, Li Yu's voice was relatively loud, so the people in the room had already walked out. Seeing Xiao Yu leave angrily, Han Yushi hurriedly shouted. Xiao Yuer stopped in her tracks. Her eyes were a little red. She turned her head to look at Han Yushi and said, Sister Yushi, in Sir's eyes, you are the only woman he looks up to. He looks down on all the women in the world. It's useless no matter what I say. He doesn't know that many of the women who apply are pure and kind. They want to learn medicine at Yanhuang College so that they can save the dying and heal the injured and benefit the people in the future. Today, because of his light sentence, women are not allowed to enter the school. He rejected all the women in the world who are interested in medicine. I think that one day, Sir will definitely regret his decision today. After saying that, she raised her arm, wiped her eyes, and prepared to leave. This girl was also a sentimental person. As she spoke, she actually ended up crying. In the front yard, Li Zixuan, Han Yushi, Li Jingma, Yi Guozhong, and the others couldn't help but be silent when they heard that, especially Li Zixuan. At this moment, many thoughts flashed through his mind in a very short period of time. Seeing that Xiao Yu was about to leave the house, Li Zixuan suddenly said, Stop. It was just 3 short words, but they were like a spell that froze Li Yu's foot in the air. Then he pulled it back. Li Zixuan continued, This matter is indeed my lack of consideration, but I definitely don't mean to look down on women. On the contrary, I think that women's medical skills are not worse than men's. For example, Sun Daozhang's disciple, Hu Jing, is now a little accomplished in her medical skills. She is also called the Little Fairy Doctor. But even so, if we rashly let women enter Yanhuang College, it will definitely cause a huge uproar. If this matter is not handled properly, it will put Yanhuang College in a whirlpool of storms. The already weak academic skills will be difficult to advance in the future. Therefore, the matter of letting women enter the school must be carefully considered. Xiao Yuer, can you give me a few days? I might be able to come up with a perfect plan. Xiao Yu turned around and looked at Li Zixuan with her slightly moist eyes. After a while, she smiled through her tears and said, Yes. I believe that Sir will be able to do what others can't. Xiao Yu, thanks Sir on behalf of those women. Li Zixuan couldn't help but laugh and said, All right, all the good and bad things have been said by you alone. You really like to give me problems. Quickly wipe your tears. You're already a big girl. If others see you like this, they'll say that you've been wronged by your teacher. Xiao Yu wiped her eyes and said, I'm not crying. Sir, I still have things to do in the editorial department. I'll go back first. I hope Sir can come up with a good idea to give those women who really want to study medicine a chance. After saying that, she hurriedly left. Xiao Xian, are you really going to admit women into the school? After Xiao Yu left, Yi Guozhong looked at Li Zixuan and asked, Li Zishuan nodded and sighed deeply. He said, "Grandfather, what Xiao Yuer said just now is not without reason. But there will be a lot of trouble in this operation. I have to smooth things out one by one before I can officially admit women into the school." Chapter 1430. Grandfather, just now little you said that the Imperial Medical Department recruits many female students every year. Is that true? Lantian County, the main hall of the Marquis' mansion. Li Zishuan looked at Yi Guozhong and asked. He knew that there were female medical officers in ancient times, but he didn't know that the Imperial Medical Department recruited female students. Yi Guozhong heard this and nodded. Little Xian, the Imperial Medical Department does recruit female students every year, and this isn't without precedent. As early as the Western Han Dynasty, there were female medical officers in the palace. Because of her superb medical skills, she was conferred the title of the first female national healer in the history of the Western Han Dynasty. Since the emperor ascended the throne, the system of the Imperial Medical Department gradually improved and began to recruit female students to serve as female medical officers in the palace in the future. After all, there were many concubines and princesses in the harem. If they fell ill, it wouldn't be appropriate for an ordinary imperial physician to treat them. The female students of the Imperial Medical Department came from two sources. One was to select unmarried servants between the ages of 20 and 30 to let them enter the Imperial Medical Department to learn medical skills. The second was to recruit women with medical skills from the common people to take an examination. If they passed the examination, they would directly enter the Imperial Medical Department. In the future, they would have the qualifications to enter the palace after their medical skills had reached a small level. Most of the female doctors that were gathered from the common people came from medical families. Their ancestors had been practicing medicine for generations. After the accumulation of time, they also had a lot of experience. After going through the training of the Imperial Physician Bureau, their medical skills were often better than those of the illiterate servants of the officials. Those women who want to apply for Yanhuang College's medical school should belong to this kind of people. Li Zishuan heard this and frowned. He muttered in his heart for a moment and sighed. Hearing grandfather say this, if our Yanhuang College rejects these women who want to study, it would be a great loss. As far as he was concerned, he was actually happy to see a woman enter the medical school to study medicine. This was because the profession of a doctor couldn't lack women. Firstly, there were both men and women among the patients. Although doctors didn't differentiate between men and women, it would still be inconvenient for a male doctor to treat a private illness. Secondly, female doctors were usually more meticulous, which was a good supplement for male doctors. Didn't modern hospitals not only have female doctors, but also female nurses? Little Xian, you can say that, but you can't do that. In the eyes of many great scholars in the world, your engineering studies are deviant and rebellious. But because you are blessed by the emperor, they can't accuse you. But if you allow women to enter the school, you will give them a reason to attack you. Yanhuang College, which is already in a precarious situation, will become the target of public criticism. At that time, even His Majesty won't be able to protect you. When Yi Guozhong saw Li Zishuan's expression, he couldn't help but ask anxiously. Li Zishuan smiled and nodded. Grandfather, don't worry. I know the severity of the matter. However, since the Imperial Physician Department can recruit female students, then this matter may not be without room for mediation. Tomorrow, I will go to see His Majesty and sound out His Majesty. Husband, did that matter make things difficult for you? At night, after dinner, the husband and wife returned to the bedroom. Han Yushi hesitated for a moment, then looked at Li Zishuan, who was sitting in front of the desk and reading documents, and asked softly. Hearing this, Li Zishuan turned around and asked, Wife, are you talking about the matter of letting women enter the medical school? Yes. Han Yushi nodded, then got up and walked to Li Zishuan. She said with an ashamed face, Husband, I'm sorry. When little you, came to the residence during the day, I heard what she said and felt that those women were very pitiful. In the end, I asked her to wait for you to come back and ask for your help. I didn't expect that it would cause so much trouble for you. Li Zixuan patted Han Yushi's hand and said with a smile, "It's okay, wife. Although this matter is a bit troublesome, it's not completely impossible. In fact, in your heart, you should have the same thoughts as little you are, right?" Han Yushi's expression was slightly sluggish. Seeing Li Zixuan staring at her with a burning gaze, she said helplessly, "Nothing can be hidden from your eyes. I just feel that those women among the common people came to study with the heart of benefiting the common people, but they were rejected. It's really a bit pitiful. Besides, I don't think that women can't learn good medicine and can't be good doctors. Isn't our village's Hu Zhen an example?" Li Zixuan waved his hand and said with a smile, all right, wife. I already said during the day that I don't have any intention of looking down on women. It's just that letting those women enter Yanhuang College will inevitably cause criticism. Tomorrow, your husband will go to the palace to ask His Majesty and see what his opinion is. All right, it's getting late. Let's rest." The development of the matter was beyond everyone's expectations. Ever since Li Zixuan released the Tang Dynasty dictionary and introduced pinyin last year, more and more people became literate, including women. Once a person became literate, they would become sensible and their thoughts would be liberated to a certain extent. In addition, the Tang Dynasty was an era of openness. At this time, the social status of women in the entire history of China was rarely matched. Therefore, early the next morning, the offices of Datong Daily in Chong and City, Wantian County, Xinfeng County, Xianying County, Yinyang County, and more than 20 other counties were besieged by women who wanted to apply for Yanhuang College's medical school. Many people were shouting, "Why can the Imperial Medical Department accept female students, but Yanhuang College can't?" There were even women who shouted, "We want to see the Marquis of Yong, and ask him to give us an explanation." After receiving the news from various places, Li Zixuan had no choice but to order the besieged offices of Datong Daily to close down immediately. As for today's Datong Daily, it was all handed over to the newsboys to sell. Wantian County, Yong'an Square, Tang Dynasty Joint Medical Center. Today, doctors from all over the country had gathered here to accept Sun Simiao, Dr. Qin, and Dr. Wang's assessment and interview. Now, in the bamboo sieve in front of you, there are a total of 9 types of medicinal herbs. Please write down the names of the herbs on the paper. In a room on the 2nd floor of the medical center, Sun Simiao, Dr. Qin, and Dr. Wang were the main examiners. In front of them sat 7 or 8 doctors who came to apply for the position. The youngest of these people were only 25 or 26 years old, and the older ones even had white beards. From this, it seemed that the position of a doctor in the Tang Dynasty Joint Medical Center was very attractive to civilian doctors. When they heard Sun Simiao's first question, a few of them quickly identified the herbs and wrote at a fast speed. All right, time's up. They actually collected the answers they wrote. After about 15 minutes, Sun Simiao said to who was beside him, "Yes, master," who responded and then went down to collect the answers written by those people. Sun Simiao, Dr. Qin, and Dr. Wang took it and then reviewed it in the hall. After a while, the 3 of them exchanged opinions. After confirming that the review results were correct, Sun Simiao announced, "Wu Chengyi, the bamboo sieve in front of you contains alpine ginseng, June frost, rock peppergrass, coiling dragon 7, Eucamia ulmoides, angelica, roasted astragalus, ericema, and Willingzi. In the answers you just submitted, only 8 of them were correct and 1 was wrong. Except for Wu Qingyi. The rest of you have all answered correctly." After his voice fell, everyone below was overjoyed, except for the youngest doctor. This person stood up with an ashamed face and cupped his hands, saying, "I'm really ashamed. I actually mistook alpine ginseng for Tai-Bai ginseng. I really shouldn't have. I've embarrassed myself in front of Dr. Sunday. I'll take my leave now and won't disturb Dr. Sun." After saying that, this guy actually prepared to leave the examination hall. Sun Simiao hurriedly said, "Hey, little brother Wu, today's assessment is not only about identifying medicinal herbs. You're still young, so it's normal that you can't distinguish between alpine ginseng and Taibai ginseng. But as long as you can answer the following questions well, you still have a good chance of passing the assessment. In this room, Wu Qingyi was the only person under the age of 30. Seeing young people, Sun Simiao's heart was filled with admiration. Wu Qingyi was stunned. He originally thought that he had no chance, but after hearing Sun Simiao's words, his heart suddenly became lively again. He quickly cupped his hands and thanked Sun Simiao with a happy face. "Thank you, Dr. Sun." Sun Simiao nodded and said, "And then the assessment will continue. Duan Shirchio, you will answer first." A patient often shows symptoms of sweating profusely. The sweat is like beads and slightly sticky. He is afraid of the cold. His hands and feet are cold. His breathing is weak. His face is pale, and even his lips are blue and purple. His pulse is weak or empty. What kind of illness is this? How should I treat it? Duan Shirchio was a middle-aged man in his 40s. Hearing this, he frowned and pondered for a moment. Then he cupped his hands and said, "If I'm not wrong, this person should be suffering from the yang deficiency disease. If you want to cure him, you can use 2 tails of dragon bone, 1 tail of cinnamon, 1 tail of licorice, 1 tail of poria, 1 tail of ginseng, 2 tails of meminda, 2 tails of oysters, 1 tail of Sichuan lacquer, half a portion of ginger, 3 large dates, fry them until they are 6/10. Very good answer. Next, Zhu Caiqi, you answer. In the examination room, a group of doctors were racking their brains to pass the assessment. Outside the examination room, the rest of the doctors were waiting anxiously. The people in the back were especially worried because they were afraid that when it was their turn, the admission quota would be full. Then, no matter how good they were, it would be meaningless. After Li Zexuan had breakfast in the morning, he came to the joint medical hall. Although he planned to meet Li Er today, the palace was in the morning court. He did not want to suffer, so he planned to wait until the morning court was over. As soon as he arrived at the medical hall, he saw this lively scene. "Please invite the 8 doctors in the back in." After asking for the location of the examination room, Li Zexuan went directly to the examination room on the 2nd floor. As soon as he reached the door, he heard Sun Simiao's voice full of energy. But after seeing the doctors who came in to apply, Li Zexuan's eyes instantly widened because he saw a woman in the team of doctors. So, he quickly quickened his pace and walked into the examination room. He heard Sun Simiao's surprised voice inside. "Miss, we are hiring doctors here. Those who have nothing to do with it, please leave." After his voice fell, a woman's voice sounded in the room. "Why do you say that, Master Sun?" "I came here to participate in the doctor examination of the joint medical hall. How did I become an unrelated person?" Li Zexuan had already walked in at this time, but Sun Simiao did not notice him at all. Instead, he frowned and said, "The Tang Joint Medical Hall only recruits male doctors. Miss, please leave." Dr. Sun, as a person outside the medical field, how can you be as pedantic as those pedantic scholars? The Tang Joint Medical Hall is hiring doctors as long as their medical skills are qualified. Why does it matter if the applicant is a man or a woman? What's more, wasn't the little fairy doctor also a woman? If she can be your disciple, why can't I, Gu Qingyue, come to the Tang Joint Medical Hall to help the world and heal the wounded? The woman said to Sun Simiao with a proud face. People in the world respected and feared Sun Simiao, but this woman spoke to Sun Simiao rudely. "You little girl, how can you be so disrespectful to Dr. Sun?" "That's right. Dr. Sun's medical skills are superb. He has saved millions of people and is the role model of the medical world. How can he allow a little girl like you to criticize him?" Gu Qingyue's words aroused the dissatisfaction of the doctors in the room, and they all began to criticize her. Who knew that Gu Qingyue was not afraid at all? She said coldly, "This is a selection of doctors. Since when did it depend on qualifications to be ranked? Dr. Sun has saved many patients, but what does that have to do with me? I just want a fair chance to compete. If Dr. Sun stumps me with medical skills, I have nothing to say. But if I am deprived of the opportunity to enter the Tang Joint Medical Hall because I am a woman, then I will not accept it. I will go to the Marquis of Yong and to ask for an explanation." Her words were powerful and full of vigor. Those doctors who had criticized her before were intimidated by this woman's cold and arrogant aura and actually shut their mouths. Although Hu Jingwei, who was beside Sun Simiao, subconsciously wanted to speak up for her master, she always felt that every word Gu Qingyue said was very reasonable. So much so that she could not say a single word of rebuttal for a long time. Huh, I heard that someone wants to ask for an explanation from this marquis. Is this true? Li Zixuan, who had been hiding at the back of the examination room, had no choice but to come out now. He touched his nose and said awkwardly, "During the enrollment process of Yanhuang College's medical school, there were women who came to apply, but he never expected that in the examination room of the Tang Joint Medical Hall, there would be a female doctor who came to apply for a position. He could not help but think to himself, the Tang Dynasty's culture is really open. The Tang Dynasty's feminism is really stronger than any other dynasty. Xiaoxin, you're here. Yamacho, young master, you're here. Marquis, nice to meet you, Marquis." Hearing that, Sun Simiao, Dr. Qin, Dr. Wang, Hu Jingwei, and the other doctors in the room all stood up and greeted him. The woman named Gu Qingyue did not move. She used her beautiful eyes to seriously size up Li Zixuan. The surprise in her eyes disappeared in a flash. She probably did not expect Li Zixuan to look so young. After a moment of sizing him up, she bowed and said, "I am Gu Qingyue. Nice to meet you, Marquis." Chapter 1431. In ancient times, women had obtained a high status through their labor in harvesting. At that time, they had even become the kings of their own tribes. Later on, the change in labor force made men the representatives of sovereignty. Since the establishment of the feudal empire, women were not allowed to be officials or doctors. They seem to have become a tool for reproduction. However, there was one dynasty that was an exception, and that was the Tang Dynasty. In the Tang Dynasty, women had a unique status. This seemed to be an era where men and women were equal. This was reflected in the laws of the Tang Dynasty. The laws of the Tang Dynasty stipulated that women of the Tang Dynasty had the right to inherit and could become the head of a household. A woman's virtue was to have no talent. If this sentence was used on women of the Ming and Qing dynasties, it would be perfect. However, women of the Tang Dynasty were not like this. In the Tang Dynasty, women could ride horses and shoot arrows. They could also attend all kinds of grand banquets. They were not like the ladies of the Ming and Qing dynasties, who had to hide in their boudoirs all day long. It was because of this open culture and the tolerance of women from top to bottom, coupled with Li Zixuan's introduction of dictionaries and pinyin, the literacy rate of the people of the Tang Dynasty soared. Women's thoughts were also further liberated. This led to the pursuit of the Datong daily office in recent days. This led to Gu Qingyue speaking frankly and openly contradicting Sun Simiao in the examination room of the Tang Dynasty's Joint Medical Center. After the Tang Dynasty, the feudal system became more complete and the centralization of power was further strengthened. This also led to the loss of women's rights. In the later dynasties, the Cheng and Zhou Confucianism gradually became mainstream. The 3 cardinal principles and 5 constant principles became a fatal turning point for women. From then on, the status of women was gradually weakened. Until the Qing dynasty, women had almost no status in society. Therefore, it was not wrong to say that the Tang dynasty was an era where feminism was prevalent. Especially after Wu Zetian ascended the throne, feminism in the Tang dynasty reached its peak. "Miss, did you want to ask this marquis for an explanation?" Gu Qingyue's appearance could not be considered very stunning, but it was definitely not ugly either. Especially that pair of particularly tall and straight peaks, which gave her a lot of points. Li Zixuan did not dare to look down. He only dared to stare at Gu Qingyue's cheeks and said. Gu Qingyue stood up straight and said in a neither servile nor overbearing tone, "Marquis, Qingyue only wants a fair chance to compete with these male doctors. The Tang Empire Joint Medical Center is recruiting doctors, not son-in-law. Why do you care so much about gender?" Li Zixuan nodded and asked with a smile, Miss Gu, you seem to be very confident in your medical skills? A trace of pride appeared on Gu Qingyue's face. She said confidently, Our Gu family has been practicing medicine for generations and has saved countless lives. I have followed my father to treat patients since I was young. I read the canon of internal medicine at the age of 6, the Yellow Emperor's 81 difficult classics at the age of 7, the Shinong's Materia Medica at the age of 9, the treatise on typhoid and miscellaneous diseases at the age of 10, the Pulse classics and acupuncture and moxibustion classics at the age of 12. At the age of 13, I was able to treat patients alone. How can I not be confident in my medical skills? Li Zixuan's eyebrows twitched, secretly thinking that this girl seemed to be an expert. Sun Simiao was a little surprised. He asked, Gu family? Which Gu clan is the Gu clan that Miss mentioned? Gu Qingyue raised her head and said, The Gu family is the Gu family. My ancestor was the Marquis of the Western Jin Dynasty. People call him Little Deity. Marquis of the Western Jin Dynasty? Li Zixuan was confused. He did not know much about the history of the Western Jin Dynasty, let alone the Marquis of the Western Jin Dynasty. But Sun Simiao was different. When he heard this, he could not help but exclaim, Miss Gu is the descendant of immortal Gu. I have eyes but did not recognize Mount Tai. My apologies. Dr. Qin and Dr. Wang were also shocked. They cupped their hands and said, So you are the descendant of immortal Gu. My apologies. Li Zixuan was instantly dumbfounded. He thought to himself, Who the hell is this Xianwen Gu? He was able to make Sun Simiao and Dr. Qin treat him differently. Can I take the test now? Gu Qingyue asked with a smile. This, little Xian, you see. Sun Simiao's voice faltered as he looked at Li Zixuan with a troubled expression. Ahem. Li Zixuan quickly put away the confusion on his face. He coughed and said, Since Miss Gu is from a famous family and is so confident in your medical skills, you can take the test. At the same time, the Tang Empire's Joint Medical Center will no longer restrict the recruitment of male and female doctors. As long as your medical skills and medical ethics are good, you could be selected. Although he did not know who Gu Qingyue's ancestor, Immortal Gu, was, he could not show his ignorance on his face. He still wanted to save face. As for the gender restriction of the Joint Medical Center's doctors, it was a decision he made after careful consideration. Because the academy recruiting female students might be opposed by the public, but the medical center recruiting female doctors, there was no reason for people to object. After all, there was no rule that said that women could not practice medicine in this era. Marquis is wise and powerful. Qingyue is impressed. Hearing that Li Zixuan had completely removed the gender restriction of the recruitment of doctors, Gu Qingyue smiled sweetly and bowed to Li Zixuan. Sun Simiao saw that Li Zixuan's attitude was firm, so he could not persuade him anymore. Moreover, he also felt that recruiting female doctors would not affect the overall situation, so he nodded and said, That's good. Gu Gunyang, please take a seat. Next, please follow them to take the test. Actually, come out for a moment. After settling the matter of Gu Qingyue's qualification, Li Zixuan walked to who actually sighed and whispered something. Then he walked out of the room from the side. Who actually looked at Sun Simiao. Seeing Sun Simiao nodding at her, she then walked out of the door. Young master, do you need me for something? Outside the room, who actually asked in a low voice. Li Zixuan nodded. He hesitated for a moment, but still bent down slightly and looked at who actually. He whispered, Actually, who is Gu Qingyue's ancestor? Who actually was stunned and said doubtfully, Young master, didn't Sister Gu say? Her family's ancestor is Gu Xianwang, the Marquis of the Western Jin Dynasty. Oh, young master wants to ask who Gu Xianwang is, right? This Gu Xianwang is Gu Hong. His courtesy name is Ji Chuan, and he calls himself Bio Puzi. He is a famous doctor in the Western Jin Dynasty. His wife, Aunt Bao, is also very skilled in medicine. She is very famous among the people. There is even a temple for Aunt Bao in the coastal area of Guangdong. Gu Hong? She is actually a descendant of Gu Hong. Li Zixuan's face changed, and his heart was extremely shocked. Yesterday, Yi Guozhong told him that the women who knew medicine among the people were mostly from medical families. He did not expect that today, in the Tang United Medical Center, he would meet Gu Qinyue, a woman who came from a super medical family. He was really lucky. At the same time, this also confirmed Li Zishuan's idea of recruiting women into Yanwang College's medical school. Today, he must finally err and ask for an explanation. Chapter 1432. Gu Hong, also known as Ji Chuan, was the grandnephew of Gu Xian of the Three Kingdoms and was known as the Little Immortal. He was once conferred the title of Marquis of Guanyi and later lived in seclusion in Mount Luofu to refine pills. At the same time, he was also a famous doctor in China during the Eastern Jin Dynasty. He was the pioneer of preventive medicine and wrote Behind the Elbow, which recorded the diagnosis and treatment of infectious diseases such as smallpox and chigger. Gu Hong's wife, Bao Gu, was the daughter of the governor of Nanhai, Bao Jing. She was also a famous doctor. She had followed her husband for a long time to refine pills and practice medicine in Mount Luofu, treating the people and benefiting the people. Therefore, the people of Lingnan respectfully called her Bao Gu. Bao Gu practiced medicine and gathered herbs, and her footprints were all over Guangzhou, Nanhai, Huiyang, Baoyuo, and other places. Her medical skills were excellent and meticulous. She was good at acupuncture and was famous for treating tumors and warts. After Bao Gu's death, the people of Lingnan commemorated her contribution to the medical industry and built a shrine to Bao Gu in the Sanyuan Palace at the foot of Yueshio Mountain in Guangzhou. Therefore, the Gu family that Gu Qingyue belonged to could be called a super medical family. However, Li Zishuan found a little strange. With the Gu family's background, even after several hundred years, they shouldn't have let Gu Qingyue, a young miss who had never done any household chores, apply for a job at the Joint Medical Center, right? Could there be a story in between? Shaking his head, Li Zishuan left the medical center and went home. He still had to go to the palace to see Lier, so he had to go home and change his clothes. Greetings, Marquis. Just as he stepped into the gate, a person came from the front yard and bowed to Li Zishuan. Yo, Brother Zhang, why are you here? Li Zishuan was slightly surprised. The person who came was none other than the blacksmith of the workshop, Zhang Hongsheng. Marquis, this Zhang is here today to return the sword. Thank you, Marquis, for trusting this Zhang and being willing to lend the wind-chasing sword to my father. Now that 3 days have passed, this Zhang will return the wind-chasing sword intact. Zhang Hongsheng raised the sword above his head and bowed to Li Zishuan. Li Zishuan nodded and took the wind-chasing sword. After a cursory inspection, he said, "It's just a small matter. You don't have to be so polite. I wonder if your father is satisfied with my wind-chasing sword?" Satisfied, satisfied. Zhang Hongsheng nodded his head and said, "After my father saw the wind-chasing sword, he was shocked by it and even wanted to reforge the 9 raven swords. However, my father knew that he was too old and could not afford to reforge the sword, so he could only give up. My father admires Marquis' honorable master, spiritual master Taoist Lingxiu. I only regret not being able to meet him personally back then." Li Zishuan laughed and said, "Haha, your father's swordsmithing technique is something that few people in the world can match. This Marquis admires your father very much and will definitely pay a visit to him in the future." It was inevitable that the workshop would run into some technical problems in the future. It was not a bad thing to establish a good relationship with a famous blacksmith like Zhang Jujio. Zhang Hongsheng quickly cupped his hands and said, "This Zhang looks forward to Marquis' arrival. Now that the sword has been returned, this Zhang will return to the workshop to forge weapons and armor for Marquis. Oh, by the way, on the way here, this Zhang heard from Steward Fu that the hydraulic stamping machine in the workshop has been completed. It should be ready for use now. Marquis, the plate armor you designed should be ready soon." Hearing this, Li Zishuan's eyes lit up. He said with a face full of joy, "Oh, the hydraulic press machine has been completed? Then do you know how Ink Girl's electric motor is?" This Zhang Hongsheng said awkwardly. "Marquis, this Zhang is not very familiar with Ink Girl, so I don't know. Mo Lingwei might be chatting and laughing with Lisa Xuan, Yin shouting and the rest, but in front of outsiders, she was cold and unapproachable. It was said that this girl wanted to maintain the dignity of a Yanhuan College professor. So Zheng Hongsheng was innocently implicated. Lisa Xuan was stunned for a moment, then reacted and waved his hand. All right then, go to your work. As for the electric motor, I will personally go to the workshop and ask Ink Girl. Yes. Marquis. After hanging the chasing wind sword on the sword rack at home, Lisa Xuan changed into a set of court clothes with the help of Xiao He and Xiao Shi. Then, he rode on Big White and left with Pang Feiji and a few other guards. Currently, the roads in Lantian County were being upgraded. The original bluestone roads were being changed into cement roads. In order to avoid traffic jams due to the road construction, County Magistrate he chose to construct the roads in sections. This way, the construction speed could be guaranteed and it would not affect the people's travel as much as possible. After leaving the county, he rode his horse all the way to Chang'an City. It was only 9 o'clock in the morning, so the weather was not too hot. Therefore, the journey was very refreshing. Little Xian, you're done with the morning court. What are you doing here? Coincidentally, when he arrived at the entrance of the imperial city, he bumped into the civil and military officials who had just finished their morning court. Cheng Yaojin's eyes were sharp, and he immediately saw Lisa Xuan, who had just dismounted from his horse. He quickly walked in front of Lisa Xuan and laughed. Uncle Cheng, Uncle Qin, did you guys just finish your morning court? Lisa Xuan smiled and greeted them. Yes, little Xian, you came to the palace today because you have something to ask His Majesty, right? Qin Xiong nodded and asked with a smile. Yes, it's about Yanhuan College's medical school. There are some things that I need His Majesty's opinion on. Lisa Xuan replied. Then hurry up and go. Don't delay the important matters. Qin Xiong was much more serious than Cheng Yaojin. When he heard that Lisa Xuan had important matters to discuss with Lier, he quickly moved aside and said, Yes. Uncle Yin? Lisa Xuan nodded and was about to leave when he saw Yin Lide walking towards him. He suddenly remembered that he had tested Mo Huai a few days ago, so he quickly took the initiative to greet him. Yes, little Xian, are you going to the palace to see His Majesty? Lisa Xuan was the leader of the younger generation in the Tang Empire, and Yin Lide had a very good impression of him. Hearing this, he revealed a kind smile and said, Lisa Xuan nodded and said, There are some things that I need to see His Majesty about, but I also want to congratulate Uncle Yin today. Congratulate? This is for no reason. What's there to congratulate me for? Yin Lide was a little confused when he heard this and asked doubtfully. Lisa Xuan smiled and said, Uncle Yin, you're too involved to see clearly. What I mean is that I should be able to attend Xiaoning's wedding soon. Wedding? Old Yin, is that kid of yours getting married? Not kind. You're too unkind, old man. You didn't even inform me of such a happy event. Are you afraid that I'll drink your family dry? Not far away. Cheng Yaojin heard this and immediately stopped moving forward. Then, he turned around and walked over quickly, pointing at Yin Lide and teasing him. Yin Lide was still in a daze at this moment. When he heard old Cheng talking nonstop, he immediately said impatiently, All right. Cheng Jijia, stop messing around. I don't even know what's going on. Little Xian, are you saying that Xiaoning is getting married? As his father, how can I not know anything about this? Lisa Xuan cupped his hands and said, Uncle Yin is busy with official business all day long, so it's normal for you to neglect these small matters. However, it's rare for Xiaoning to find a good marriage. Uncle Yin, you have to seize the opportunity for Xiaoning. All right, I won't talk about it anymore. I'm going in to see His Majesty. Goodbye. After saying that, Lisa Xuan didn't care about Yin Lide's dumbfounded expression. He cupped his hands and walked toward the palace gate. Brother little Xian, you're in the palace? As soon as he entered the palace and walked across the arch bridge in front of Taiji Palace, he heard a pleasant female voice shouting beside him. Lisa Xuan paused and looked to the right. He saw Changle, who was wearing a pink dress, walking towards him. Changle? Oh, greetings, Your Highness. Seeing the fairy-like Changle, Lisa Xuan was immediately in a good mood and wanted to greet her. However, remembering that this was the imperial palace and that there were many eyes, he promptly stopped and saluted. Changle knitted her brows, somewhat reproachfully saying, "Brother Little Xian, we haven't seen each other for so long. Why are you treating Changle like a stranger?" Li Zixuan had always treated Changle as his own younger sister, as an elder brother who would be willing to salute his younger sister every day. Hearing this, he whispered, "This is the imperial palace. This subject naturally has to be cautious and respectful." Oh, hearing this, Changle instantly understood. Only then did she feel a little better. She made an "oh" sound and said, "Then, Brother Xiaoxian, did you enter the palace this time to see my imperial father?" Li Zixuan nodded and said, "That's right." Changle happily said, "That's perfect. I also have matters to discuss with my imperial father. Brother Little Xian, let's go together." Li Zixuan thought it over and did not refuse, nodding his head. "Your Imperial Majesty, Princess Changle requests an audience." In the Sweet Dew Palace Hall, Li'er had not been seated for long after the morning court session when an eunuch entered and bowed. "Oh, Changle? Quickly let her in." Li'er had just finished the morning court session and was originally somewhat tired. Hearing that his most beloved daughter had arrived, he immediately became spirited and hurriedly replied. Who knew that the eunuch would say, "Your Imperial Majesty, the Marquis of Yong, and is also outside the hall, requesting an audience." Why did that fellow think of meeting us today? Let him in." Hearing this, Li'er's eyebrows trembled slightly as he spoke. Speaking of which, ever since Li Zixuan had entered the palace to ask for brass after the construction of the hydroelectric dam in Lantian County, Li'er had not seen Li Zixuan for quite some time. Without Li Zixuan causing trouble in Chong, and Li'er felt that it was lacking a lot of fun. Changle pays respects to Imperial Father. This subject, Li Zixuan pays respects to your Imperial Majesty. Not long after, Changle and Li Zixuan walked in from outside the hall and bowed to Li'er. Dispense with the formalities. Changle, quickly come to Imperial Father." Li'er replied with a faint before hurriedly beckoning to Changle. This completely different treatment also proved how important Changle was in Li'er's heart. Changle responded with a smile and then walked cheerfully to Li'er's side. Li'er lightly patted Changle's shoulder before looking at Li Zixuan and asking, "Marquis of Yong, and you came to the palace to meet us. Do you have something to report?" Li Zixuan secretly curled his lips as he thought to himself, "Your Imperial Majesty has finally thought of me." He stepped forward and clasped his hands together before saying, "Your Imperial Majesty, the workshop has already made a breakthrough in the weapons and armor that you asked me to upgrade for the Black Armored Army. In a few days, Your Imperial Majesty will be able to see the incomparably sharp vanadium steel horse lance and the world's #1 defensive vanadium steel plate armor." This was the art of speaking. First, talk about the good news to make Li'er happy. Then, talk about the matter of girls entering the school. This was the only way to get a better result. Hearing this, Li'er was indeed delighted. He stood up and said, "Vanadium steel horse lance? Vanadium steel plate armor? That means that your workshop can already produce vanadium steel." Previously, Li Zixuan had told him that vanadium steel had superior performance compared to ordinary steel. This was why he asked Li Zixuan to create a batch of vanadium steel weapons and armor for the Black Armored Army, the Tang Empire's most elite cavalry. Now that he heard that the weapons and armor were about to be completed, Old Li was naturally excited. Li Zixuan clasped his hands together and said, "Your Imperial Majesty, the workshop has not only mastered the method of smelting vanadium steel, but also a new type of forging technology. It is because of this technology that we can create the world's #1 plate armor. This plate armor is difficult for ordinary swords and arrows to penetrate. It can greatly reduce the death rate of our Tang Empire's cavalry." Li'er couldn't help but ask curiously, "From what I heard, you seem to be very confident in this plate armor. You actually dare to say that its defense is #1 in the world?" "Your Imperial Majesty, I am not boasting. Not only is the defense of this plate armor far superior to the Mingguang armor, It is also lighter than the Mingguang armor. In about 3 to 5 days, this plate armor will be completed. At that time, your Imperial Majesty will know when you see it. Li Zishuan said confidently. Who gave him such confidence? Of course, it was the workshop's advanced production technology. Li Er nodded and said, Good. Then let's wait for the plate armor to be completed. If it is really as you said, I will definitely reward you handsomely. Thank you, Your Imperial Majesty. Li Zishuan said his thanks. Then, he pondered for a moment and bowed. Your Imperial Majesty, I have another matter to report to Your Imperial Majesty. What is it? Let me hear it. Li Er was still immersed in the plate armor that Li Zishuan said had the world's #1 defense. Hearing this, he nodded and said. Li Zishuan cupped his hands and said, Your Imperial Majesty, I have planned to establish a medical school in Yanhuang College a long time ago to spread medicine and benefit the people. A few days ago, I spread the enrollment notice of the medical school to the people of all provinces and counties through Tang Daily. Unexpectedly, many women went to Tang Daily to sign up. After they were rejected, they unwillingly surrounded the office of Tang Daily, claiming that they wanted an explanation. Hearing this, Li Er, who was sitting at the head of the table, said in a deep voice, I have heard about this matter. You could just send some people to send these women away. Why do you need to discuss it with me? Li Zishuan shook his head and said, Your Imperial Majesty, that is not what I meant. I want to ask Your Imperial Majesty. Since the Imperial Medical Department can recruit female students every year, can the Yanhuang College's medical school also recruit female students? Hearing this, Li Er and Changle's faces were filled with surprise. The Ganlu Palace suddenly became quiet. It was so quiet that one could hear a pin drop. Chapter 1433. Nonsense. Ridiculous. Yanhuang College is a sacred place for learning. How can you let a girl enter? After a moment of silence, Li Er's angry roar sounded in the Ganlu Palace. Li Zishuan shrunk his neck and probed. Your Majesty, why can the Imperial Medical Department recruit female students, but Yanhuang College's medical school? Shut up. How can it be the same? When Li Er heard Li Zishuan talk about the Imperial Medical Department again, he mercilessly interrupted. The female students of the Imperial Medical Department will eventually go to the palace to serve as female medical officers. What's the use of your Yanhuang College's medical school to train so many female students? What's more, the Imperial Medical Department is a place that specializes in teaching medicine. There's no gender distinction in front of doctors. You just need to separate their rooms. But what about Yanhuang College? In addition to these medical students, Yanhuang College also has hundreds of engineering students. You've recruited these female students. What kind of scandal is that? When the time comes, even if I don't punish you, the spittle of all the scholars in the world will drown you. When Li Zishuan heard this, his heart sank. So, this was the problem. After thinking for a moment, he cupped his hands and said, Your Majesty, the female students of the Imperial Medical Department will serve as female medical officers in the palace, and the female students of Yanhuang College's medical school will serve in the Tang Empire's Joint Medical Center in the future. This is because not only does the palace need female doctors, but the people also need female doctors. Your Majesty has always been diligent and loved the people. How can you ignore the pleas of the people? As for the female students entering Yanhuang College's medical school, it's easy to deal with. When I return, I'll immediately have people build a tall wall between the engineering school and the medical school. I'll also send people to patrol and prohibit the students of the engineering school from entering the medical school to find female students. This matter will be personally supervised by Teacher Wenji. He has a respected reputation in the scholarly circle. There shouldn't be any gossip, right? In this way, although the medical school is under the name of Yanhuang College, it's completely independent. The education model is no different from the Imperial Medical Department. Can't the leisurely mouths of the people in the world be completely blocked? Li Er, who was sitting high above, couldn't help but frown. Chang Lu, who was beside him, took the opportunity to say, Father, Brother Xiao Xian was right. Not only did the palace need female medical officers, the commoners also needed them. Otherwise, if this girl suffers from some hidden illness that is inconvenient to speak of, how difficult would that be? It was said that the harem was not allowed to interfere in politics. If it were any other concubines or princesses in the harem who said this, they would probably be reprimanded by Li Er. However, it was Changle who said this. The result was completely different. Li Zishuan's furrowed brows actually relaxed slightly. He patted Changle's little head very dotingly, then looked at Li Zishuan and said, "Your method is barely passable, but why do you have to go through so much trouble to recruit women into Yanhuang College's medical school?" This was also what Li Er didn't understand. As the saying goes, one doesn't get up early without benefits. In his opinion, although Li Zishuan wasn't the kind of person who only cared about benefits, he was definitely not the kind of person who did things without asking for anything in return. Li Zishuan said with an innocent face, "Your Majesty, I'm not letting women into the medical school for my own personal benefit. I'm only letting the Tang Empire's medical school have a better development." Li Er asked curiously, "What does letting the Tang Empire's medical school have to do with recruiting women into the school?" Li Zishuan cupped his hands and said, "Your Majesty, if the Tang Empire's medical school wants to have a long-term development, it absolutely can't do without female doctors. Most of the women who want to apply for Yanhuang College's medical school are from medical families. Their ancestors have been practicing medicine for generations. Under the influence of what they see and hear, their cultivation in medicine is better than that of ordinary people. What they lack is a systematic medical education. Once they are able to receive formal training, their medical skills will definitely be better than the current doctors in the various medical halls. If they are willing to apply for Yanhuang College's medical school, it means that they have a benevolent heart to save the world and help the people. Your Majesty, do you want me to reject these women with medical talent just because they are women? Moreover, women are generally more careful than men. The most important thing for a qualified doctor is to be careful. Female doctors are a good supplement for male doctors. That's why I said that if the Tang Empire's medical school wants to have a long-term development, it absolutely can't do without female doctors." Li Zishuan's words made Li Er fall into deep thought. Changle, who was at the side, became more and more interested as she listened. Her beautiful face gradually glowed with a brilliant smile. She thought to herself, Brother Shaoxian is indeed different from other men. He values women so much and doesn't discriminate against them. He really has the spirit that only immortals have. Speaking of which, although she was a princess of the Tang Empire, she was still a woman. Since she was a woman, she couldn't avoid marrying and becoming a man's wife and vassal. Today, Li Zishuan spoke up for female doctors, which made her eyes light up. "Your Majesty, I also think that Marquis Yong'an's words are reasonable." Li Er was about to speak when Empress Zhang's son happened to walk in from outside the hall with a bowl of ice-sour plum soup. She smiled and said, "There are many women from medical families among the people who have medical skills. If they are rejected outside the door of Yanhuang College's medical school, just because they are women, wouldn't it be too much of a pity to cut off the possibility of their medical skills to improve further? Besides, the number of female students recruited by the Imperial Medical Department every year is limited. The palace doesn't need so many female medical officers, so it's better to let Yanhuang College's medical school cultivate a group of female doctors to benefit the people." Standing in the middle of the hall, Li Zishuan couldn't help but look gratefully at Empress Zhang's son. This gentle, virtuous, and wise woman would come out at every critical moment to advise Li Er to make the most correct decision. She was the biggest contributor to Li Er's creation of the Jingguan Golden Age. The silent Li Er finally looked at Li Zishuan and said, "That's good. We will grant your request for the time being, but this move is bound to cause criticism among the court officials. In our opinion, this matter should wait until your new plate armor is made before we announce it in front of all the court officials. At that time, you will have made a great contribution, and the voices of opposition will be much smaller. In addition, if there are people among the people who oppose this matter, you will have to deal with it yourself. If the voices of opposition are too loud, then don't blame us for refuting your proposal." When Li Zixuan heard this, he couldn't help but curse Li Er in his heart for being so cunning. However, it was already not easy for Li Er to be willing to stand by his side. It was basically impossible for him to get Li Er to help him eliminate all opposition. This official obeys. "Thank you for your grace, your majesty." Li Zixuan knew when to stop and immediately stepped forward to thank the emperor. The next day, Tang Dynasty's Joint Medical Center officially announced the recruitment of female doctors. This news only caused a small ripple among the people because today was a special day. Celestial Bane, which had been serialized into Tang daily for 2 months, officially ended today. Strangely enough, this Xianxia novel's biggest audience was not men, but women. The delicate emotional entanglements in the novel caused many women to cry, especially at the end, when Bai Yao sacrificed herself to block the Celestial Bane sword for Zhang Xiaofan. Not only did the female readers cry, but many male readers couldn't help but secretly wipe their eyes. Sob, sob, sob. In the end, Bai Yao still couldn't be resurrected. Bai Yao is so pitiful. Leather Knight is so hateful. Why did he give everyone hope and then let everyone feel despair? Bai Yao could have been resurrected. Why didn't he give us a perfect ending? No. Quick, take a look at the last paragraph Pai Xiao wrote. Today, Celestial Bane has officially come to an end. During the serialization of Celestial Bane, we received a lot of support from readers. Chivalrous Hero is very grateful. Of course, we also received criticism and abuse from readers. Chivalrous Hero understands all of you because Chivalrous Hero also likes Bai Yao. But Swordsman really can't give you a perfect ending. Bai Yao's tragedy, from the day she appeared, was already destined. She was a demonic witch, and Zhang Xiaofan was from a righteous sect. Under normal circumstances, the two of them would never be together. During the Great Battle of Emerald Cloud Mountain, Zhang Xiaofan was interrogated by his sect. Priest Song Song colluded with the demonic sect and betrayed Emerald Cloud sect. The defeated demonic sect turned back and wanted to kill Emerald Cloud sect. Dao Xinjinren activated the Celestial Bane sword formation for the second time. In the end, because he was worried that Zhang Xiaofan would be used by the demonic sect and bring disaster to the world, he slashed the Celestial Bane sword at Zhang Xiaofan. In such a desperate situation, if Bai Yao didn't activate the spell of infatuation and block the sword with her body, Zhang Xiaofan would only die. There was no other ending. The wounded Zhang Xiaofan joined Ghost King's sect under the name of Ghostly. For 10 years, he searched for a way to resurrect Bai Yao. But the dead cannot be resurrected. Can Bai Yao really be resurrected? Maybe. After all, when Fox Divergent Mountain collapsed, Bai Yao's body disappeared, leaving only a piece of green clothing and the Hahuan bell. It was very imaginative. But if Bai Yao didn't use her body to block the sword and sleep forever, how can you remember her forever? I want you to always remember the Bai Yao who, for true love, was willing to fall into the underworld for 3 lifetimes and 7 lifetimes. Swordsmen were devastated by the end of Celestial Bane. After serious consideration, Swordsman decided to stop writing and thank the readers who accompanied the swordsman along the way. If fate wills it, we'll meet again. Leather Knight's words at the end of the chapter were an explanation for Bai Yao's ending. It was also a declaration that he would stop writing from now on. After reading it, the male and female readers were stunned at first. Then they cried out in disbelief. What? Stop writing? What does this mean? Leather Knight won't write novels anymore? Sob. Why? Although we're sad that Bai Yao didn't resurrect, Leather Knight, please don't abandon us readers. Sob. We won't scold you anymore. Leather Knight, don't stop writing. That's right. We won't block Datang Daily's editorial department anymore. We won't scold you anymore. Please don't stop writing. Sob, Bai Yao didn't resurrect. Leather Knight also stopped writing. Leather Knight, why are you so cruel to us? In Chang'an City and the counties around Chang'an City, the readers who saw the latest issue of Bragging World couldn't help but cry. A sorrowful atmosphere began to spread wildly in every city. Cries could be heard everywhere. I, damn it. Leather Knight is going to stop writing? Is it because we made a scene in the workshop last time and angered him? Sigh, don't you think I'm despicable? In Chang'an City, Sun Mansion. It was Saturday today. Sun Ziffin sat in the backyard happily and read the latest issue of Bragging World. He was very satisfied with the plot update a few days ago because Zhang Xiaofan was trying hard to find a way to resurrect Bai Yao. This gave him hope. But who knew that today's 5 chapters would turn his hope into despair, and from despair into extreme despair? Because Bai Yao didn't seem to be resurrected in the end, and Leather Knight had completely stopped writing novels. Smack! Sun Ziffin couldn't help but give himself a hard slap. He scolded himself. Sun Ziffin, oh Sun Ziffin, why did you make a scene in the workshop's editorial department and make Leather Knight unhappy? Great. Now there won't be any books to read in the future, right? It's over. It's over. My Zhang Xiaofan, my Bai Yao, my Leather Knight. Come back, all of you. At the end of his speech, he couldn't help but cry. The servants guarding outside the door couldn't help but look at each other. They didn't know what kind of blow their young master had suffered. No, I want a reward. This is what I owe Leather Knight. I want to reward him with all my pocket money. Men, quick, reward Celestial Bane 100 Tang yuan. In the room, Sun Ziffin suddenly said, as if he had gone crazy. There were quite a number of people who had the same thoughts as him. Back when they caused a ruckus in the editorial office, there were thousands of them. Those who participated in the ruckus were actually very fond of Celestial Bane. As the saying goes, the deeper the love, the more the blame. Now, when they saw the last sentence of Celestial Bane's grand finale, they subconsciously felt that it was because they caused a ruckus in the workshop back then that caused Pai Ziyage to retire from writing. Therefore, they all wanted to reward him as compensation. As for those who didn't participate in the chaos, they wanted to reward him as much as they could, hoping to retain Leather Knight. Therefore, a very spectacular scene appeared. Chang'an, Wantian County, Xinfeng County, Yinyang County, Jingyang County, Sanyuan County, Xianying County, and more than 20 other counties were all surrounded by Tang Daily's offices. This encirclement was different from the encirclement of women who wanted to apply for Yanhuang College's medical school 2 days ago. This time, the scale was unprecedentedly grand. At least a few hundred people lined up in front of each Tang Daily's office. Everyone was waving Tang Yuan in their hands, shouting that they wanted to reward Celestial Bane, Leather Knight, and begging Leather Knight not to stop writing. The staff of Tang Daily's office panicked in the face of such a scene. Then, they began to frantically receive rewards and distribute fan medals to those readers. Each of them wished they could grow 8 arms because they were too busy to cope with the situation. Today was a day that belonged to Celestial Bane, and more importantly, to Pai Xiajiwei. Fortunately, Tang Yuan was gradually becoming popular among the people. Otherwise, with so much money, the Tang Daily's office would be full again. Chapter 1434. Young Master, something bad has happened. South of Chang'an City, Lin family's backyard. Maid Xiao Shi ran into the study with the latest issue of Tang Dynasty Daily, Bragging World, and informed Lin Hao, who was sitting in front of the desk reviewing his homework. What's wrong? What happened? Don't bother me with such trivial matters. Ever since the start of the new year, Lin Hao had been in seclusion to prepare for the exams. Although he knew that Leather Knight had published a new book at the end of March, he could only bear the pain and give it up in order to get into Yanhuang College this year. For the time being, he put Celestial Bane aside. He planned to read it to his heart's content after the exams. Under his orders, his maidservants would buy a copy of Bragging World every day. They would also cut out the parts about Celestial Bane and bind them into a book. They would keep it for him to read after the exam. Young Master, Celestial Bane is ending today. Leather Knight said that he's going to quit writing completely and will never write a novel again. Tang Daily's office in Chang'an City has gathered a lot of readers. They're all madly tipping and begging Leather Knight not to quit writing. Xiao Shi was panting as she held the latest issue of Big Talk, Martial Arts World. What? Celestial Bane is ending? Leather Knight is going to quit writing? Lin Hao stood up in shock when he heard that. He originally planned to raise Celestial Bane for a while, but he never expected that he would raise the author until the end of his career. It would be hard for anyone to surpass his skill in raising books in the future, right? Young master, look. Xiao Shi nodded in response and handed the copy of Bragging World to Lin Hao. Lin Hao took it and read the last paragraph carefully. He couldn't help but sigh. What a pity. What a pity. I won't be able to read his novels anymore. Xiao Shi, go get 1,000 Tang yuan and tip the Leather Knight. Currently, the Yanhuang Chamber of Commerce's bicycles were selling well all over the country. Lin Wenyuan relied on his status as a member of the Chamber of Commerce to earn a lot of money. In addition, Lin Hao had recently been in closed-door training to prepare for the exams, so he rarely used the money. Therefore, this brat had also saved up a lot of money. 1,000 Tang yuan was still something he could afford. Yes, young master. Brother Qingke, is Brother Xiaoxian really not planning to write novels in the future? In the Imperial Palace, the little fatty had just paid his respects to Empress Zhang's son when he was robbed by Changle. Changle pulled Li Tai to the garden and asked anxiously. Li Tai heaved a sigh and said helplessly, I just found out about this too. Although I felt bad, I understood Yamacho's feelings. He had so many things to do every day. How could he have the time to write a novel? We should have been mentally prepared for this outcome. When Changle heard this, a trace of sadness appeared on her face. After a long while, she nodded and said, Yes. Brother Qingke, you're right. Brother Xiaoxian can't always write novels for us. Now, not only is he in charge of Yanhuang College, he's also in charge of the huge fief of Lantian County. It's time for him to stop writing. But from now on, it'll be hard to see a novel as exciting as Celestial Bane. Yamacho, are you really planning to stop writing? In the new workshop of the Strange Taste Pavilion, Li Zixuan came here today to check on the progress of the technical upgrade and coincidentally met Ma Zhou. Ma Zhou brought Li Zixuan to a corner and asked worriedly, Sai, I'm not writing anymore. I'm getting busier and busier. Where would I find the time to write novels? Li Zixuan waved his hand and smiled bitterly. Ma Zhou said unwillingly, But, Marquis, are you really willing to part with your readers? Do you know that this morning, countless readers of Celestial Bane in and around Chong and City went to the Datong daily office to tip you? They want to apologize for making a scene in the workshop and ask you to stay. Are you really willing to part with them? Although he had long decided to stop writing after finishing Celestial Bane, Li Zixuan couldn't help but feel a little sad when he heard Ma Zhou mention it. It was a kind of reluctance. All good things must come to an end. I have more and more work to do, and I can't keep writing. It's better to get the pain over with than to prolong the pain. While they're still not too deep, it's better for me to withdraw as soon as possible. Besides, each new generation excels the previous one. Now, Hua Hongyi's Dream of Qin is gaining momentum and has a chance to take Celestial Bane's first place. I'm leaving when things are done, hiding my achievements and fame. I'm leaving now to make way for the younger generation and to avoid embarrassment if I'm surpassed by others in the future. After a moment of silence, Li Zixuan shook his head and said, Ma Zhou looked deeply at Li Zixuan and said, Leaving when things are done, hiding your achievements and fame. Marquis, you have great literary talent. Although what you said makes sense, Marquis, I don't believe a word of it. Celestial Bane's position, whether it's in the past or in the future, is unshakable. Dream of Qin is getting more and more exciting after it's updated, but it's still lacking compared to Celestial Bane. After Li Zixuan told Hua Hongyi about the TV series in his previous life, Hua Hongyi stopped updating for a week and reworked the outline. The updated Dream of Qin was undoubtedly more exciting in terms of plot. Hua Ziyu, a student of engineering, Princess Yushu of Tuan Kingdom, Xiang Yu, the overlord of Western Shu, Liu Bang, the great Qin, General Meng, the great eunuch Zhao Gao, the eldest young master Fu Su, the second young master Hu Hai, and the supreme emperor Qin Shi Huang. These characters collided and created dazzling sparks under Hua Hongyi's pen, especially the part where the main character, Hua Ziyu, used engineering to stir up trouble in the Qin dynasty. The readers couldn't help but exclaim in satisfaction and couldn't stop. Because of this, Dream of Qin's results were getting better and better, and even showed signs of surpassing Celestial Bane. Nowadays, there were more and more novels imitating Dream of the Great Qin. For example, Dream of the Three Kingdoms and Dream of the Han Dynasty could be found everywhere. Basically, they imitated the main character of Dream of the Great Qin and Dream of the Han Dynasty. It could be said that Dream of the Great Qin had created the genre of time travel. Seeing that Dream of Qin was getting more and more popular, Li Zixuan was finally relieved and decided to stop writing altogether. After hearing Ma Zhou's words, Li Zixuan said helplessly, "Haha, Brother Ma really thinks highly of me, but since things have come to this, I won't write any more novels no matter what. In the future, Brother Ma, you have to find more new talents with potential." Seeing that Li Zixuan had made up his mind, Ma Zhou could only sigh helplessly, shake his head, and leave with his hands behind his back. Li Zixuan stood quietly in place and watched Ma Zhou's back as he left. After a while, he turned around and walked towards Mo Lingwei's laboratory. "Little Ningzi, come over and help me coil the coil on the magnet." Oh, coming. Hey, can your hand stop shaking? Be serious." I'm not shaking. It's shaking on its own. I can't control it." "If you can't control your hands, who can?" "It's not." Just as he walked to the door of the laboratory, he heard the quarrel between the two enemies. Li Zixuan smiled helplessly and pushed the door open to enter. Cough, cough. Ink Girl, shouting, "Are you guys assembling the electric motor?" At this time, because they were assembling the electric motor together, Yin Shouting and Mo Lingwei's heads were less than a centimeter apart from each other. It looked very ambiguous. Li Zixuan couldn't help but cough softly and pretend that he didn't see anything as he said. Hearing this, Mo Lingwei quickly bounced away from Yin Shouting as if she had been electrocuted. Her cheeks quickly flushed red. She clasped her hands together and said hurriedly, "Sean, Yamacho, you're here. Oh, that electric motor, I'm almost done. I can give it to you tomorrow at the latest." So fast, Li Zixuan looked at the electric motor's casing and various parts scattered all over the floor. He nodded with satisfaction and said, "Ink Girl's attainments in electric machinery are really getting better and better. Although the electric motor's principle is simple, it's not simple at all to actually build it. Ink Girl can build it in just 5 days. It's really admirable." Hearing Li Zixuan's praise, Mo Lingwei couldn't help but be overjoyed. However, she remembered that she was a professor at Yanhuang College and should be reserved, so she quickly restrained the smile on her face and said, "Yamacho, you've already drawn the electric motor's blueprint. I just need to follow the blueprint. Most of the credit goes to you. I don't dare to take the credit." Hey, our Professor Mo is actually so modest. Li Zixuan couldn't help but laugh. Yin Shouting, who was at the side, was dissatisfied. Yamacho, I also contributed to this electric motor. Why did you all ignore me?" Li Zixuan waved his hand and said, Okay. You all contributed. When the electric motor is done, I'll give each of you something good." Yin Shouting was instantly happy. Just as he was about to ask Li Zixuan what he was going to give them, Song Xiaoxi's voice suddenly came from outside the door. "Young Master Yin, a servant from the Yin residence has sent a message. He said that Minister Yin wants you to go home today." Yin Shouting was stunned. He went over to open the door of the laboratory and looked at Song Xiaoxi. "Xiaoxi, my father wants me to go home? Did he say what's the matter?" Song Xiaoxi saw that Li Zixuan was also in the room. He first bowed to Li Zixuan and then replied, "Young Master Yin, I'm not sure about this, but the servant in your residence seems to be in a hurry. Do you want to go out and take a look?" When Yin Shouting heard this, he subconsciously thought that the Yin family really had an emergency. He quickly turned his head and said, "Yamacho, Wei Air, then I'll go home first." Mo Lingwei waved her hand and said, "Okay, go ahead." Li Zishuan also nodded. He secretly guessed that the words he said to Yin lied yesterday had taken effect. The Yin family was going to propose marriage to the Mo family. After he finished speaking, Yin, shouting, quickly walked out of the laboratory. Oh, that's right. Yamacho, there seems to be a problem on Mr. Wang's side. Do you want to go and take a look? After Yin shouting left, Mo Lingwei was silent for a moment and suddenly spoke. Li Zishuan was stunned and asked curiously, Mr. Wang, what's the problem on his side? Mo Lingwei replied, Yamacho, didn't you ask Mr. Wang to build an electrolytic copper refining workshop? However, Mr. Wang realized that the electricity produced by our hydropower station is alternating current, and electrolytic copper refining requires direct current. In order for the electrolytic workshop to operate normally, we can only use the lead-acid batteries that Yamacho made previously. However, the lead-acid batteries still need to be recharged after they run out of electricity, and they also need direct current to recharge. So, Yamacho, this is the problem. We have to make a sustainable source of direct current. I see. When Li Zishuan heard this, he couldn't help but be enlightened. Previously, he only cared about making the batteries and neglected the problem of recharging them. When the batteries discharge, they convert chemical energy into electrical energy, and when they recharge, they convert electrical energy back into chemical energy. The electrical energy here is direct current, not alternating current. In his previous life, the lead-acid battery charger was used to convert alternating current into direct current and stabilize the voltage. But now, he didn't have a ready-made charger with him. Yes, Yamacho, this problem must be solved as soon as possible. Otherwise, our electrolytic workshop won't be able to operate. At this time, Wang Ji's voice came from outside the door. Wang Ji heard that Li Zishuan had come to the workshop, and he quickly went to look for Li Zishuan for help. When he reached the door, he heard Mo Lingwei telling Li Zishuan about the problem he was facing, and he couldn't help but push the door open. Oh, Mr. Wang, you're here too. Li Zishuan came back to his senses and greeted Wang Ji. I heard that Yamacho was here, so I came to look for you. Yamacho, do you have a way to solve the direct current problem? Wang Ji nodded, and then with a face of urgency, he cut to the chase. Mo Lingwei also looked at Li Zishuan. In her memory, there didn't seem to be anything that Li Zishuan couldn't solve. Li Zishuan frowned, thought for a moment, and said, there are two ways to solve this problem. The first is to build a direct current generator to convert the power of the river directly into direct current, and then connect it to the electrolytic workshop. A direct current generator? Yamacho, how can it be a direct current generator? Can this thing be built? Mo Lingwei couldn't help but be surprised when she heard it. Of course it can be built. Li Zishuan smiled, took a pen and paper from the table next to him, and explained as he wrote and drew. The reason why the alternator emits alternating current is mainly because when its rotor winding rotates to cut the magnetic field lines, the direction of the current in the winding will change in the opposite direction once every 180 degrees of space angle. That is, it will change twice in one turn. This changing current is drawn out through the slip ring and the carbon brush. Because the law of change is a sinusoidal curve, it emits sinusoidal alternating current. And when we cut off the middle of the generator's slip rings and insulate them from each other, when the rotor windings rotate to cut the magnetic field lines, the direction of the current output from the windings will change under the action of the slip rings every 180 degrees of space angle. This way, the output will always be a positive pole, and the other end will always be a negative pole. This way, the output will be direct current. After he finished speaking, the internal core structure diagram of the direct current generator was revealed on the white paper. Mo Lingwei looked at it for a while, then nodded and said, I understand. Yamacho, your design is really brilliant. Hey! By the way, Yamacho, you just said that there are two ways. What's the other way? Chapter 1435. Updated for playing the zither and playing the phoenix. There's another way, which is to convert alternating current to direct current. In the workshop, in Mo Lingwei's laboratory, Li Zishuan put down the pen and paper in his hand and said, Mo Lingwei and Wang Ji were shocked when they heard this. Mo Lingwei asked, Yamacho, how can alternating current be converted to direct current? Li Zixuan smiled and said, whether it's alternating current or direct current, they're both electricity, so of course they can be converted to each other. Using a rectifier circuit, alternating current can be converted to direct current. Using an inverter circuit, direct current can be converted to alternating current. However, the rectifier circuit requires a new electronic component, the rectifier diode. This diode has a unidirectional conductivity, so it can only pass current in one direction. With it, we can build a rectifier circuit. Mo Lingwei was immediately interested when she heard this. She quickly asked, Yamacho, how do we make a rectifier diode? Can you teach me? The knowledgeable female professor of Yinhuang College in the eyes of others was now, like an ignorant student, crazily absorbing knowledge from Li Zixuan. Li Zixuan pondered for a moment and said, the rectifier diode can be divided into electronic diodes and crystal diodes according to the materials used to make it. With our current conditions, we can try to make some electronic diodes. Ink Girl, Mr. Wang, I'll teach you the method of making electronic diodes today. You have to promise me that you won't leak it out. Otherwise, not only will the workshop suffer losses, Tang Dynasty will also suffer losses. At the end, Li Zixuan solemnly reminded Mo Lingwei and Wang Ji. Electronic diodes, also known as vacuum diodes, were widely used in voltage regulation and rectifier circuits because of their unidirectional conductivity. Throughout the history of integrated circuit development, the invention of the electronic diode could be said to be the starting point of the human electronics industry. Therefore, Li Zixuan had to take this matter seriously. In his previous life, after the invention of the electronic diode, the American inventor DeForest cleverly added a grid between the diode filament and the plate, creating the world's first electronic transistor. Since then, these electronic components sealed in small glass bottles have been widely used in various electronic products. For example, televisions, radios, loudspeakers, and other electronic products were all inseparable from diodes and triodes. However, the defects of electronic diodes and electronic transistors were also obvious. They consumed a lot of power, generated a lot of heat, were large in size, and had a short lifespan. Therefore, people have been looking for new electronic devices to replace them. It wasn't until the birth of the transistor and the advent of solid-state electronics technology that the electron tube was completely replaced. In the 21st century, the diodes and transistors used in various countries around the world were actually transistors. Of course, there was another name for them, which was called semiconductor tubes, because they were all made of semiconductor materials such as silicon or germanium. With the current industrial foundation of the Tang Dynasty, first of all, purifying silicon or germanium was a problem. Secondly, the key structure of the semiconductor diode, the p-n junction, was also a considerable problem. The p-n junction was made by using different doping processes. Through diffusion, p-type and n-type semiconductors were fabricated on the same semiconductor substrate. The space charge area formed at the junction of the two semiconductors was called the p-n junction. The p-n junction had unidirectional conductivity. N-type semiconductors were silicon crystals or germanium crystals, doped with a small amount of phosphorus as an impurity, while p-type semiconductors were silicon crystals or germanium crystals, doped with a small amount of boron as an impurity. Li Zixuan didn't have any boron on hand, so he temporarily gave up on the idea of making a crystal diode. Yamacho, rest assured. What Yamacho said here today, I will not say a word to outsiders, even if I'm drunk. Wang Ji was the first to cup his hands and say this, but the latter half of the sentence made people not know whether to laugh or cry. Speaking of which, although this old fellow was a drunkard, he wouldn't speak carelessly when he was drunk. This was quite reassuring. Yamacho, I won't say a word about what you said either. I guarantee it with my life. Hearing Li Zixuan and Wang Ji's solemn words, Mo Lingwei also became serious and said to Li Zixuan. Li Zixuan nodded and said, "That's good. Next, I'll tell you how to make the electronic diode." As he spoke, Li Zixuan picked up a pen and paper again sketching as he explained. First, we'll seal 2 metal plates in the vacuum glass tube. Of course, we can also use the method we use to make the electric lamp. We just need to exhaust the oxygen in the glass tube. There's no need for a complete vacuum. After that, we'll add an alternating current to the anode plate, and a constant current will appear on the other plate. Mo Lingwei was somewhat puzzled and said, Yamacho, what's the principle behind this? Li Zixuan thought for a moment and explained, You see, when the potential of the anode is higher than the cathode, the electrons emitted by the cathode will move toward the anode under the influence of the electric field, forming a current of electrons. When the voltage of the cathode is higher than the anode, the electric field force on the electrons will pull them back to the cathode, and no current will be generated. That's why the electronic diode has a unidirectional conductivity and can be used for circuit rectification. In fact, this effect was called the Edison effect in his previous life. In 1883, Edison, in order to find the best filament material for electric light bulbs, placed a section of copper wire near the carbon filament in a vacuum bulb, hoping to prevent the carbon filament from evaporating. Although it failed, he inadvertently found that the copper wire, which was not connected to the circuit, produced a weak current due to receiving the hot electrons emitted by the carbon filament. Although Edison didn't study this phenomenon carefully, he applied for a patent for the Edison effect. In 1896, when Fleming was researching how to improve the detector in a radiotelegraph receiver, he conceived of using the Edison effect for wave detection. He sealed 2 metal plates in a vacuum glass tube and applied a high-frequency alternating voltage to the anode plate. The Edison effect appeared, and when the alternating current passed through the device, it was converted into direct current. Fleming called this tube, with 2 electrodes, a vacuum diode. It had both rectifying and detecting functions. This was the first electronic device in human history. Li Zixuan wanted to make this kind of vacuum diode right now. Although he knew the principle behind it, he wasn't completely sure if he could make it in the end. Yamacho, I roughly understand. Overall, the structure of the electronic diode isn't complicated. Although it will take a lot of effort to make it, it's not impossible. Please let me try a few times. Mo Lingwei listened to Li Zixuan's explanation and thought for a long time before finally nodding. Wang Ji also cupped his hands and said, I roughly understand as well. I will definitely do my best to assist Ink Girl in making the electronic diode. Mo Lingwei's progress was directly related to whether his electrolysis workshop could continue operating normally. Of course, he was more concerned than anyone else. Li Zixuan nodded and said, Then I'll have to trouble the 2 of you. But in my opinion, the DC generator and the electronic diode can be made at the same time. The one that is made first will be put into use first, and the electrolysis workshop can start work earlier. To be on the safe side, Li Zixuan decided that he had to go all out and grab both hands. I think he's driving, but I don't have evidence. Yes. Yamacho. The 2 of them cupped their hands and replied. Li Zixuan nodded with satisfaction and thought to himself, with the diode, the triode won't be far away. When the time comes, many electrical appliances can be made. Tang Dynasty will soon enter the electronic age. Chapter 1436. Yamacho, I have another question. In a laboratory, Mo Lingwei frowned and asked, Since we need direct currents so much, why didn't we just use a direct current generator to generate electricity? Hearing Mo Lingwei's question, Li Zixuan couldn't help but praise this girl's intelligence. He thought for a moment and said, Ink Girl, have you ever thought about this question? If the electricity from the hydropower station is direct current, how much voltage will be attenuated after it passes through a 1-mile-long wire? You have to know that for a wire of the same thickness, the longer the length, the higher the resistance, and the greater the divided voltage. Let's say the output voltage of the hydropower station is 200 volts. If it is transmitted to a place 1 mile away, the voltage will be only 150 volts. The further it is, the lower the voltage will be. And the electric lamps produced by our workshop all have the same calibrated voltage. If we use direct current to transmit electricity, The places far away from the hydropower station won't be able to get enough voltage to light the lamps. If we use alternating current to transmit electricity, this problem won't exist because we have transformers. We can use transformers to boost the voltage at places far away from the hydropower station and raise the voltage to the value we need. But direct current isn't as easy to convert voltage as alternating current. Besides, Ink Girl, you should know that the internal structure of an alternating current generator is simpler than a direct current generator, and its lifespan is also longer than a direct current generator. So after considering many factors, I chose alternating current transmission. In fact, even in modern times, the battle for direct current didn't end with alternating current winning. In the 21st century's power system, high-voltage transmission coexisted with alternating current and direct current, complementing each other. In fact, with the development of electronic technology, direct current transmission might even return to its dominant position. This was because direct current transmission only needed to consider the losses caused by the resistance of the line, while alternating current transmission would cause losses due to impedance, inductive reactance, and capacitive reactance. But with the current technological conditions of Tang Dynasty, alternating current transmission was the most feasible and economical method. Mo Ling Wei suddenly understood. She nodded and said with admiration, "I didn't expect there to be so much knowledge in this." Yamacho was really far-sighted when they built the hydropower station. Li Zixuan smiled and didn't answer. Instead, he looked at Wang Ji and asked, "Mr. Wang, I believe that the problem of the DC power supply will be solved in a few days, but I don't know if you have the materials and equipment ready." Wang Ji nodded and said, "Don't worry, Yamacho. This old man is fully prepared and only lacks one crucial element. The electrolytic cell, crude copper, and bile vitriol are all ready." Li Zixuan said in surprise. "Oh?" His progress was so fast. "Then, Mr. Wang, do you have enough gall alum prepared?" After all, the amount of copper that the workshop would be refining in the future was not small. Li Zixuan had to ask in advance. Wang Ji smiled and said, "Don't worry, Yamacho. Gall alum isn't anything rare. There's a mine in Lantian County that produces gall alum, and it's more than enough to supply our workshop." Li Zixuan was pleasantly surprised when he heard that. "What? There's a gall alum mine in Lantian County? Why didn't I know about it?" Wang Ji asked curiously. "There's always been a gall alum mine, but it's only used in medicine and isn't worth much. It's normal that you don't know about it, Marquis." Gall alum was a crystal of copper sulfate. It could also be used in medicine. It could stimulate the gastric mucosa and stimulate the vomiting center to induce vomiting. It was used in phlegm congestion, throat paralysis, epilepsy, eating poison, mouth ulcers, tooth ulcers, pterygium, and so on. Li Zixuan quickly interrupted. "Who said that it's not worth much? Not only can it be used to refine crude copper, it can also be used as an electrolyte to electrolyze copper. With this gall alum mine, we can solve our copper shortage problem to a large extent." Refining copper with gall alum? How can copper be extracted from gall alum? All right, this can indeed be done. Gu Xinwing mentioned in Biopuzzi Inner Chapter, Yellow and White, that using gall alum solution to soak iron pieces to obtain copper. In chemistry, this is called a substitution reaction. Why didn't I think of this? Wang Ji was puzzled at first. Then he patted his head and said in annoyance, "There were two ways to refine copper, the fire method and the wet method. The fire method was to make contact with burning charcoal and decompose the peacock stone into copper oxide, then reduce it back to metallic copper. The equation was CuCO3. CuOH, 2 plus C equals 2Cu plus 2Co, 2 plus H2O. This was also the main way to produce copper before the Song Dynasty in China. The wet method was also known as the gall copper method. The production process mainly consisted of two aspects. The first was to immerse the iron in gall alum, CuSO4, 5H2O solution, commonly known as bile water, so that the copper ions in the gall alum would be replaced by metal and deposited into elemental copper. The second was to collect, collect the copper powder that was about to be replaced, and then smelt and cast. China's people first used natural copper compounds to refine copper by wet method. During the Western Han Dynasty, sulfuric acid was used to react with copper oxide, and then iron was used to replace the copper. Liu, in his Huainan Wanbi technique, said that when green iron was obtained, it would turn into copper. Green referred to soluble copper salts. That is, when copper salts meet iron, copper will be formed. Jin Gahong's Biopuzi inner chapter, yellow and white, also recorded that green was used to paint iron, and the iron was red like copper. During the Northern and Southern dynasties, it was further recognized that not only copper sulfate, but other soluble copper salts could also undergo substitution reactions with iron. However, these methods were only discovered by the alchemists during the process of refining pills and were not actually used in production. It wasn't until the late Tang Dynasty and the Five Dynasties that the wet method of refining copper began to be used in production. In the Song Dynasty, it developed into one of the important methods of producing copper. In the early Tang Dynasty, there were very few people who knew about the wet method of refining copper, not to mention using it in production. Seeing that Wang Ji had reacted, Li Zishuan nodded and said, "That's right. The process of smelting copper with gall alumina was a chemical substitution reaction. In a while, I'll send someone to find the mine that Mr. Wang mentioned and quickly find out the reserves of copper sulfate. After that, we can dig a water tank around the mine, forge the iron into thin pieces, and place them in the tank. Then, we'll use the bile water to soak the iron pieces, and the copper in the bile sulfate will adhere to the surface of the iron pieces. Although forging the iron pieces into thin pieces is more troublesome, our workshop now has a hydraulic press, so this can't be considered troublesome. In addition, forging the iron pieces into thin pieces can increase the surface area of the iron, greatly reducing the substitution time and increasing the copper production rate. I hope that the copper produced from this mine can completely supply the electricity consumption of Lantian County." A while ago, he was still worrying about where to get some copper. He didn't expect that there would be a mine of copper sulfate in his fief. The people of this era obviously didn't realize the true use of the mine. Otherwise, this mine would have been expropriated and mined by the imperial court and wouldn't have waited until now. Hearing this, Wang Ji couldn't help but sigh with longing. If the reserves of copper sulfate in this mine is really amazing, we can cover the entire Lantian County with electricity. This kind of scene, I'm looking forward to it even in my dreams. After leaving Mo Lingwei's laboratory, Li Zishuan immediately sent Lu Feng and Lu Yun to bring people to investigate the mine of copper sulfate. After that, he went to the Ba River to check on the progress of Zhang Hongsheng's armor manufacturing. Zhang Hongsheng promised Li Zishuan that he would be able to make the first set of plate armor by the day after tomorrow at the latest. After the first set was made, the production speed would get faster and faster. "Young master, yesterday I got people to use the hydraulic press to forge a batch of iron pieces of the same size and thickness. With these iron pieces, we can make the chain you mentioned before. I've already arranged for the craftsmen to assemble the chain, and it should be completed by tomorrow. With the chain, young master, are you planning to start building the second generation of chain-driven bicycles?" Faubert was also at the hydropower station. Seeing Li Zishuan come over to inspect the work, he quickly walked over and said. Li Zishuan heard this and was delighted. He secretly thought that those outdated and clumsy front-wheel-driven bicycles could finally be eliminated. He smiled and said, "Build. Quickly build. The faster the better." "Oh, right, Faubert. This chain-driven bicycle, even if I don't give you the blueprint, you should be able to imagine its structure, right?" Faubert nodded and said, "Young master, don't worry. I know what I'm doing. This second generation of bicycles is only different from the first generation. Everything else is basically the same. This won't be a problem for me." Li Zishuan said excitedly. That's good. I'll wait for Faubert's good news. The previous bicycles have brought us a lot of profits. Now that we have the technology to produce chains, we can create a more agile and light second-generation bicycle. I believe that more people will like it and be willing to spend money on it. In the near future, the bicycles produced by our Chi-Chu Pavilion workshop will be spread all over the Tang Dynasty. Last year, because he didn't have a dam or a hydraulic press, he couldn't make chains. He could only make those ancient bicycles with pedals installed on the front wheel. These bicycles were very taxing to ride and could easily trip over. Li Zixuan only felt that it was a novelty at first. After riding it for a few days, he stopped riding it. He was a modern person. Any bicycle that he had ridden before was 1,000,000 times better than those ancient bicycles. But Cheng Yaojin, the native of the Tang Dynasty, didn't know that there were better bicycles in this world. They only knew that the bicycles produced by the Chi-Chu Pavilion workshop were faster, more agile, and more convenient than horse carriages. That was why they rode them every day. Now that he had chains, everything was different. Not only could Li Zixuan produce bicycles with chains to drive the rear wheels, he also wanted to make mountain bicycles with disc brakes to change the speed. He even wanted to make electricity. These improved bicycles could not only replace horse carriages, but also horses. The next day, the first thing Li Zixuan did after breakfast was to go to the medical center. When Dr. Wang saw Li Zixuan, he quickly reported, "Yamacho, this time, our Tang Dynasty Joint Medical Center has recruited a total of 58 highly skilled and ethical doctors. Among them, there are 8 female doctors and 50 male doctors. Among them, there are some who are good at bone setting and treating injuries. There are also some who are good at treating children's diseases. There are also some who are good at acupuncture and massage. In any case, there are already qualified doctors in the previous departments." Li Zixuan nodded and said, "That's good. The medical center must operate normally as soon as possible and fully open to the people of Lantian County. All the prices of the herbs and the consultation fees must be open and transparent. We can't cheat the people. In addition, the number of female doctors is still too small compared to the number of male doctors. I told you before that doctors don't differentiate between men and women. In the eyes of a doctor, there should be no concept of gender. Don't look down on other people's medical skills just because they are women. Gu Qingwei yesterday is a good example. We have to recruit more female doctors in the future." Li Zixuan heard that in yesterday's interview and examination, Gu Qingwei had smiled proudly, with 2 full marks. Who knew how many people's eyes had popped out of their sockets? Li Zixuan felt that Gu Qingwei could be used as an example to all the women in the world who were interested in medicine. He wanted to tell the world that women could also learn and practice medicine, and that their medical skills were not inferior to men. Dr. Wang cupped his hands and said, "Yamacho, after yesterday's interview and examination, no one dares to look down on female doctors. The reason why there are only 8 female doctors is because there are too few female doctors who came to apply. However, today's Datong Daily published a notice that our joint medical center can recruit female doctors. I believe that soon, there will be female doctors with excellent medical skills coming to our medical center." Li Zixuan heard this and nodded. "That's good. If the medical center has any difficulties in the future, Dr. Wang, you can tell county magistrate he or me. If we can help, the county government and I will definitely do our best to help." "Yes, Yamacho." In the afternoon, Li Zixuan rode to the workshop again. He had received news that Mo Lingwei's electric motor and the second-generation chain bicycle that Faubert was in charge of had been completed. "Yamacho, this is the electric motor. As long as it is connected to the battery, the rotor inside will be able to spin rapidly." Mo Lingwei pointed at the lump of metal on the floor and said in the workshop of Chi-Tu Pavilion. Li Zixuan frowned. He had to admit that the electric motor's appearance was a little ugly. The outer shell was cast directly. The surface was not polished, quenched, or painted. It was as ugly as it could be. He just did not know if this ugly thing could be used properly. "Connect it to the battery and let me see," Li Zixuan said softly. "Okay." Mo Lingwei replied and quickly asked Song Xiaoxi, who was next to her, to bring a lead-acid battery over from Wang Ji's place. Since Yin Xiaoning went home in a hurry yesterday, he had not come yet. Mo Lingwei had no one to order around, so she could only order Song Xiaoxi around. After the lead-acid battery was brought over, Mo Lingwei placed the electric motor upside down and asked Song Xiaoxi to hold it steady. Then, she connected the power source. When the power source was connected to the battery's positive and negative electrodes, the electric motor started to spin rapidly. Success! Success! We have changed the way power is used in this era, Li Zishuan said as he looked at the electric motor that was spinning wildly. Chapter 1437. In his previous life, there were 3 revolutions in the history of mankind. The first revolution was when the steam engine replaced the inefficient human and animal power. The second revolution was when the internal combustion engine replaced the internal combustion engine. The third revolution was electricity. Li Zishuan had originally wanted to follow this rhythm and start a power revolution in the Tang Dynasty. But last year, when he created the telegraph, he created electricity along with it. Since then, he couldn't help but want to create more things related to electricity. Thus, electric lamps, lead-acid batteries, electric motors, and other modern electrical equipment were all invented by him. As for the steam engine and the internal combustion engine, Li Zishuan believed that he did not need to create them. In the future, the students of Yanhuan College would be able to create them. As a Yamacho, he could not possibly create everything and leave the students with nothing to create, right? Yo, Ink Girl's electric motor was built so quickly. Just as everyone was staring at the rapidly spinning electric motor, Uncle Fu walked in from outside and couldn't help but exclaim in surprise. It was just finished. Manager Fu, you're here. Please have a seat. Mo Lingwei raised her head and greeted him. Faubert, you're here. Li Zishuan also greeted him with a smile. Faubert waved at Mo Lingwei and said, Hee, I'm not sitting. This old man is here to look for young master. Hearing this, Li Zishuan raised his head. Faubert also looked over and said, Young master, the second-generation bicycle with chains has been built. Do you want to take a look? Li Zishuan exclaimed, Even the bicycle has been built? Sure, let's go take a look together. Xiaoxi, bring someone to carry the electric motor and lead batteries over. Yes, young master. Song Xiaoxi nodded, then called for a servant to move the electric motor and battery. Yamacho, why do you want to bring the batteries and electric motor to the bicycle? Mo Lingwei asked in confusion. Li Zishuan smiled and said mysteriously, Ink Girl, you'll know when the time comes. Following Faubert, Li Zishuan, and the others, they arrived at the yard where the bicycles were assembled and produced. They saw a 2-wheel bicycle that was about half the height of a person standing in the open space. Looking at the bicycle, Li Zishuan felt a sense of familiarity because the style of the bicycle was almost exactly the same as a modern bicycle. At that moment, he felt as if he had returned to the modern era. Young master, is this structure correct? Faubert asked uncertainly. Li Zishuan hadn't given him any blueprints for the rear-wheel drive bicycle. Faubert had designed it based on the original bicycle, so he wasn't sure if the design was right. Li Zishuan came back to his senses and nodded. Correct. This is exactly the same as the bicycle in my mind. Faubert's heart finally settled down. He smiled and said, That's good. Young master, do you want to try it out yourself? Of course, I'll try it out. Li Zishuan nodded and walked towards the bicycle. He gripped the handlebars and felt the sensitivity of the handlebars. Li Zishuan stepped on the other side of the bicycle with one leg and sat down on the seat of the bicycle. Then, with a light push of his right foot, the bicycle stood up steadily and started moving forward. Easy. Li Zishuan, who was riding the new bicycle, only felt relaxed. This chain-driven bicycle was undoubtedly 100 times easier to ride than the previous front-wheel drive bicycle. Wow, looking at Yamacho, it seems like this bicycle is easier to ride. Mo Lingwei couldn't help but exclaim after watching for a while. Faubert nodded and smiled. That's for sure. The bicycle that young master is riding now relies on a chain, gears, and bearings to drive together. Furthermore, the number of gears connected to the pedals is much more than the number of gears connected to the rear wheel. When you step on the pedals, the rear wheel will have to turn a few times. It's not like the bicycle that you used to ride in a single round. Therefore, it's much easier to ride. Uncle Fu could be considered an old expert in the field of machinery. He was able to clearly explain the advantages of the new bicycle in just a few words. It was clear and concise. Mo Lingwei wasn't stupid. After listening, she quickly understood. She looked at Faubert and said with admiration, "These improvements are really ingenious. Manager Fu, you're really amazing." Faubert smiled and waved his hand. Hee, I wouldn't dare to take the credit for this. The idea was all from young master. I just followed young master's suggestions and designed the blueprint. Mo Lingwei smiled. Hee, Manager Fu, you don't have to be humble. The mountain leader has already told me that you designed all the blueprints by yourself. Looking at Yamacho riding this new bicycle, I want to ride it too. Manager Fu, do you have any more new bicycles? Faubert shook his head and said, only one of them has been made so far. If Miss Mo wants, the workshop can make another batch in 2 days. Faubert watched Yin Xiaoning grow up, and Mo Lingwei was Yin Xiaoning's crush. Faubert took good care of Mo Lingwei in the workshop. Mo Lingwei smiled playfully and said, I don't have to wait until then. I want to ride it now. Then she put her hand around her mouth and shouted at Li Zishuan, who was racing in the open space. Yamacho, come down quickly. Let me ride this bicycle too. Li Zishuan heard the shout and could only ride the bicycle back. He handed it to Mo Lingwei and said, Ink girl, if you want to ride it, then ride it quickly. But you have to be quick because we're going to modify this bicycle in a while. Modify the bicycle? Yamacho, didn't you just say that this bicycle is already perfect? Then why do you need to modify it? Mo Lingwei was confused and asked curiously. Faubert also looked at Li Zishuan hesitantly. Li Zishuan smiled and said, Ink girl, didn't you find it strange that I asked Xiao, Si, and the others to bring the electric motor and battery? It's to modify the bicycle. Mo Lingwei thought quickly and her eyes suddenly lit up. She asked tentatively, Yamacho, you're not thinking of using the electric motor to move the bicycle, are you? After saying this, even she didn't believe it. But all the signs in front of her showed that Li Zishuan wanted to use the electric motor to modify the bicycle. Faubert's eyes widened in disbelief. He thought that the new bicycle with chains was already very advanced. But Li Zishuan wanted to take it a step further and use the electric motor to modify the bicycle. Then, wouldn't it mean that the bicycle in the future wouldn't need people to step on it and could be moved by the electric motor? Faubert didn't even dare to think about this in the past. Li Zishuan nodded and said, Ink girl is indeed smart. You guessed right. I did plan to use the electric motor and lead batteries to modify the bicycle. After the modification, the bicycle can't be called a bicycle anymore. It should be called an electric bicycle because it doesn't need people and can move quickly with electricity. Electric bicycle? That's good. Yamacho, let's start the modification now. As soon as Mo Lingwei heard it, she immediately became interested and shouted loudly. Li Zishuan smiled and asked, Ink girl, aren't you going to test riding the bicycle? Mo Lingwei shook her head without thinking and said, I don't want to try. I'm not going to try anymore. When the electric bicycle is done, it won't be too late for me to try it. Who would want to ride a bicycle if there was an electric bicycle? Li Zishuan found it funny and said, Okay, let's focus on modifying the bicycle today. Around 1859, the Frenchman Plant invented the lead-acid battery. In 1881, the Frenchman Gustave Truffaut had already used the DC motor and lead-acid battery in the transportation industry. He created the world's first electric tricycle, which was much earlier than the internal combustion car. It was also powered by the lead-acid battery. It was similar to the electric tricycles used by modern China. Today, Li Zishuan had brought the history of the electric bicycle forward by more than 1,000 years. Once the electric bicycle was released, it would change many people's understanding of electricity. After all, in the past, people only knew that electricity was the same as thunder on a rainy day. The people of Lantian County knew that electricity could light up light bulbs, but almost no one knew that electricity could provide power for humans. After humans learned how to use animal power and water power, they would eventually learn how to use electricity. Yamacho, I finally found you. At noon, Li Zishuan did not go back. He chose to eat in the workshop cafeteria. He met Ma Zhou by chance. Ma Zhou quickly came over with his plate and sat opposite Li Zishuan. Li Zishuan was puzzled and said, "Oh, Brother Ma, why are you looking for me?" "In the morning, I was modifying the bicycle in the bicycle workshop. That's why you didn't find me." In today's workshop, there were thousands of craftsmen and countless workshops of various sizes. In the morning, Li Zishuan, Mo Ling Wei, Faubert, Song Xiaoxi, and the others were all in the courtyard where the bicycles were manufactured. It was normal that Ma Zhou could not find him. No wonder. Yamacho was in the bicycle workshop. Ma Zhou suddenly exclaimed. He quickly went back to the topic and said, "Yamacho, the statistics from the editorial department are out. Yesterday, there were a total of 15,872 people who tipped Celestial Bane. Everyone tipped from 5 copper coins to 1,000 strings of coins. We received a total of 29,462 strings of coins. This number is terrifying. It's a miracle. I don't think there will ever be another novel in Bragging World that can create such a miracle." Li Zishuan was silent for a moment and said, "In fact, in many people's hearts, the characters in Celestial Bane can't be measured by money. They're just using this method to bid farewell to the characters in the book." "But isn't it also bidding farewell to you, Yamacho?" Ma Zhou sighed and said, "Yamacho, those readers can't forget you. Are you really willing to stop writing from now on?" Li Zishuan shook his head and said, "Brother Ma, it's useless to say more now that things have come to this. Come. Let's eat." Seeing that, Ma Zhou decisively stopped talking about it. He rolled his eyes and suddenly said, "Yamacho, speaking of which, your Celestial Bane saved many of our offices this time." Li Zishuan asked curiously, "Where did that come from?" Ma Zhou quickly explained, 2 days ago, there were women who applied for medical school surrounding the Tang Daily's office. But when the news of the end of Celestial Bane came out yesterday, those readers replaced those women and came to surround the office. However, they came to reward Celestial Bane, not to cause trouble. After what they did, our Datong Daily's office wasn't surrounded by those women today. Yamacho, don't you think this counts as saving our office?" Li Zishuan suddenly understood and nodded. "I see. But even if they continue to surround Datong Daily's office, I have a solution." "Brother Ma, you don't have to worry." Ma Zhou was puzzled. "Marquis has a solution? What is it?" Li Zishuan smiled and said, "I plan to announce to the world that I'm recruiting women into the medical school. Tomorrow morning, I'll officially announce this in front of all the civil and military officials." Ma Zhou was shocked. He stared and said, "Yamacho, this can't be. You'll be impeached by many officials if you do this. It might even affect the Academy's reputation." Li Zishuan shook his head and said, "It's okay. I've already thought of a foolproof plan. Brother Ma, don't worry." Ma Zhou was helpless, but he knew that once Li Zishuan decided on something, even 9 bulls couldn't pull him back. He didn't try to persuade him anymore. In the afternoon, Cheng Chumo, Sun Zifan, and Yuchi Baolin came to the workshop. "Yamacho, I heard that our academy is recruiting female students. Is it true?" When Li Zishuan heard that the idiot had come to the workshop, he walked from the bicycle workshop to the front yard of the workshop. Who would have thought that Cheng Chumo would ask such a question? Li Zishuan rolled his eyes in annoyance and said, "Where did you get this information from? The academy doesn't recruit female students. Even if it does, what does it have to do with you? You don't study hard, and you don't help train the team. You only care about things that have nothing to do with you." Cheng Chumo heard this and said, "I'm innocent. Yamacho, who said that we haven't been training the team recently? Basically, we go to the field every day and lead the outstanding players to train. Last month, Brother Shanbei returned to Japan because of the death of Empress Tugu. At that time, Li Zishuan was determined to establish the Tang Football Association. Later, he was busy with work and couldn't leave. Chung Chumo and Yuchi Balan volunteered to be the coaches of the national team. TSK, don't be so full of yourself. When I'm done with work, I'll go and see the results of their training in person. Li Zixuan couldn't help but mock. Chapter 1438. Hey, Yamacho, it's up to you whether you want to believe it or not. In any case, Baolin and I have been diligent and conscientious lately. We have a clear conscience. In the workshop, Chung Chumo chuckled after hearing Li Zixuan's words. Beside him, Yuchi Baolin couldn't help but nod in agreement. Brother Chonyo is right. Yamacho, we really haven't been slacking off recently. The players that Yamacho transferred to the national team will be organized by us whenever we have time for physical training and tactical training. The teamwork between the players is getting better and better. Li Zixuan nodded and said, If that's the case, that's great. You guys can train them according to the tactical training manual and physical training program that I gave you. If I have time, I will personally train them. If you guys do well, there will definitely be a place for you in the Tang national team. Chung Chumo chuckled and said, Haha, Yamacho, I like what you said. Sun Zifan then said, Yamacho, a few days ago, the medical school was recruiting students. Many women who know medicine wanted to sign up. They surrounded the Datong daily office and wanted to use this opportunity to ask Yamacho to allow them to enter the college. Yamacho, what do you plan to do? Will you agree to their request? After saying that, the chubby boy looked at Li Zixuan with a burning gaze. Clearly, he was eager to know the answer. Chung Chumo and Yuchi Baolin also looked at Li Zixuan in unison. TSK, men like women. This was an unchanging law of nature. Yanwang College was impeccable in terms of facilities and teaching staff. The only downside was that the college was like a temple for monks. There were only men and no women. Therefore, as soon as they heard that a woman wanted to apply for the Yanhuang Academy, Chung Chumo, Sun Zifan, and the other old foxes who were in the age of puberty and hormone secretion immediately came to Li Zixuan to ask for his opinion. Li Zixuan had also been a student in his previous life. How could he not see through Sun Zifan's true intentions? He glanced at them and said indifferently, Could it be that you bastards are thinking about women? As soon as he said this, Sun Zifan and Yuchi Baolin immediately flushed red. Yamacho, what are you saying? How could I, Sun Zifan, be that kind of person? No matter how bad Sun Zifan was, he was still the son of a great scholar. How could he be called a pervert? Yuchi Baolin stammered, Yamacho, I'm not. This honest man almost blurted out the modern era's 3 consecutive denials. I'm not. Don't talk nonsense. Chung Chumo, on the other hand, was not a stingy person. He was thick-skinned and crossed his arms. He did not explain, but he did not deny either. Li Zixuan pointed at the 3 people in front of him and sneered, Ha, you guys, let me put it this way. I do intend to recruit some talented women who know medicine to further their studies in the medical school. However, to avoid criticism, I plan to separate the medical school and the engineering school with a high wall. I'll imitate the way the Imperial Physician Department teaches students and train these medical students. What? Separate them with a high wall? F***CK. Yamacho, aren't you being too cruel? Do you have to be so heartless? Chung Chumo couldn't sit still after hearing Li Zixuan's words. He glared at him and said angrily. Li Zixuan glanced at him and said lightly, Didn't you say that you're righteous people just now? What? Now you're showing your true colors? Sun Zifan, who was about to speak, was stunned when he heard this and immediately shut his mouth. Chung Chumo pursed his lips and said, That's what they said. I didn't say anything. Yamacho, don't you think that our engineering school is a little out of balance? It's not easy for some female students to come in. Why are you surrounding them with a wall? Hearing Chung Chumo spouting nonsense, Sun Zifan quickly chimed in. That's right. Yamacho, there's a saying that goes, a fair and graceful woman is a good match for a gentleman. Although we don't have any thoughts about the female students who just entered the school, the balance between male and female yang can stimulate our motivation to study. Yamacho, you should be more happy to see this situation. Li Zishuan was speechless and couldn't help but scold. Get lost. If the two of you can focus on your studies, Qingke and Xiaoke won't have anything to do with first place in the school. Yamacho, you're calling me? Speak of the devil. As soon as Li Zishuan finished speaking, Li Tai's voice came from outside the room. The fatty came today mainly to talk to Li Zishuan about quitting writing. He wanted to see if there was any room for negotiation. After all, he was an experienced novel enthusiast. Naturally, he didn't want Li Zishuan to quit writing. He asked the servant about Li Zishuan's location. As soon as he arrived at the door, he heard the conversation between Li Zishuan and Cheng Chimo. Qingke, you're here too? Have a seat. Li Zishuan nodded at Li Tai and greeted him. Hey, Yamacho, you've made things so boring. The team still has training today. We'll take our leave first. Cheng Chimo stood up, patted his butt, and said goodbye. Yamacho, we'll take our leave too. Sun Zifan and Yuchi Baolin also stood up and said, Go ahead. Li Zishuan nodded. The three of them said goodbye to Li Tai and left. Yamacho, what did Chimo and the others talk about just now? Li Tai asked after the three of them left. It's about the enrollment of medical students. Hearing Li Tai's question, Li Zishuan briefly told Li Tai what they had just talked about. Li Tai said disinterestedly, Oh, so that's what it was about. Yamacho, your idea is good, but you have to be careful of the court official's impeachment. Otherwise, this good thing will become a bad thing. As a member of the royal family, Li Tai was not interested in ordinary beauty. Moreover, compared to Cheng Chimo and Yuchi Baolin, he was still young. Therefore, he did not care much about the enrollment of women into the medical school. In his heart, women might not be as important as novels and truth. Li Zishuan nodded and said, I've already made a decision on this matter. Don't worry, Qingke. Li Tai replied with an After a moment of silence, he said, Yamacho, I'm sure you've heard about the grand occasion of Celestial Bane being rewarded by tens of thousands of people yesterday. Qingke knows that you're busy with work every day, but if you have the time in the future, would you be able to continue writing novels? When Li Zishuan heard this, he immediately understood the purpose of Li Tai's visit today. He pondered for a moment, then sighed and said, Perhaps, but who knows what will happen in the future? Novels are nothing in my eyes. Qingke, our goal is to spread the word of engineering to the world and benefit millions of people. I hope you can understand this. Li Tai was deep in thought. After a moment, he solemnly cupped his hands and said, Qingke will remember Yamacho's teachings. Li Zishuan nodded with satisfaction. Just as he was about to speak, Song Xiaoxi said from outside the door, Young Master, Steward Fu has finished modifying the bicycle. They asked me to inform you. Li Zishuan was shocked when he heard that. He quickly replied, Okay, tell Faubert that I'll be right there. Yes, young master, Song Xiaoxi replied and turned to leave. Inside the room, Li Tai was puzzled. Yamacho, why are Steward Fu modifying the bicycle? Li Zishuan stood up and smiled. The workshop has recently created a lead-acid battery and an electric motor. We plan to use these two things in the new second-generation bicycle. We will use the battery's electricity to power the bicycle. This way, the bicycle will be able to run faster than a horse without any effort. Qingke, you came at the right time. Why don't we go and have a look together? You can do that? Let's go. I'll go with Yamacho. Li Tai's eyes shone brightly as he hurriedly replied with great interest. So, the master and disciple left the room and walked towards the bicycle workshop's courtyard. Yamacho, you're finally here. The bicycle has been modified. Do you want to give it a try? Half an hour later, Li Zishuan brought Li Tai to the bicycle workshop's courtyard. Mo Lingwei saw Li Zishuan and quickly greeted him excitedly. Li Zishuan looked at the girl suspiciously and asked, Ink Girl didn't try it first? Mo Lingwei's eyes flashed, and she shook her head. This electric bicycle is Yamacho's idea. Yamacho should try it first. In fact, she was thinking, who knows if there will be any problems with the first electric bicycle? What if I fall from it and get disfigured? Yamacho, you're good at martial arts. It's best for you to be the first one to try it out. Li Zixuan looked at Mo Lingwei with a faint smile. Although he could roughly guess what Mo Lingwei was thinking, he didn't expose her. Instead, he nodded and said, "Okay, I'll give it a try." After that, he walked towards the world's first electric bicycle. This electric bicycle's modification plan was personally designed by him. Naturally, he knew which part was the switch, which part was the accelerator, and which part was the brake. Li Zixuan sat on the bicycle's seat and pressed the switch. He turned the right handlebar and began to accelerate. With a whoosh, the bicycle's speed suddenly increased. Li Zixuan and the bicycle rushed forward. Everyone's eyes widened. Mo Lingwei exclaimed excitedly, "It's running. It's really running. Manager Fu, our modified electric bicycle is running. This means that our method is correct." Yes. It's running. To be able to see this kind of car that doesn't need manpower or animal power to run in my lifetime, I truly have no regrets. Uncle Fu was so excited that his whole body was trembling. Something like an electric bicycle was beyond the scope of the ancients' knowledge. Now that it was in their hands, Uncle Fu felt like he was dreaming. Li Tai, who was standing to the side, was also dumbfounded. At this moment, his heart was in turmoil as he shouted, "Amazing! It's too amazing! I can't believe there's a car that can run so fast without the help of humans or animals." Just a moment ago, Mountain Elder told me that our goal is to spread engineering to the world and bring benefits to millions of people. Now, it seems that Mountain Elder is moving towards this goal step by step. With this electric bicycle, it will be very convenient for the people to travel. Look, quick, look. The Marquis was riding a divine chariot, a divine bicycle that can run like the wind without pedaling. Li Zixuan rode his electric bicycle and wandered around the courtyard. The whining sound of the electric motor attracted the attention of the craftsmen who were working. When everyone came out to take a look, they were all shocked. "Oh my God, it's really a divine bicycle. Marquis isn't pedaling, and this bicycle can run so fast. Isn't this a divine bicycle? It's too amazing. How did Marquis make this bicycle? Why does it look different from the bicycles made by our workshop? It's indeed different. In the past, when we made bicycles, the pedals were installed on the front wheels. But on this bike, the pedals are in the middle of the two wheels. It's incredible." Just as everyone was discussing and exclaiming, there was one person who couldn't wait any longer. That was Mo Lingwei, because she had already watched Li Zixuan go around the courtyard a few times. "Yamacho, can you come down and let me have a try?" Mo Lingwei quickly shouted when Li Zixuan was in front of her. When Li Zixuan heard this, he had already jumped out of Mo Lingwei's position. He said loudly, "Okay, I'll give it to you later." When the bicycle was about to reach Mo Lingwei, Li Zixuan quickly slowed down. The bicycle stopped steadily in front of Mo Lingwei. Li Zixuan was a little worried. "Girl, although this bicycle is fine, you haven't ridden it before. It might be a little difficult for you to control it. You have to ride it slowly later." Mo Lingwei didn't care. "Yamacho, don't worry. I also contributed to the design of this bicycle. How can I not know its performance? It'll be fine." After that, she took the bicycle from Li Zixuan and prepared to ride it. Li Zixuan was speechless. He secretly prayed that this female driver wouldn't crash. Mo Lingwei's start was quite smooth. She drove the bicycle shakily. It could be seen that she couldn't control the power of the electric motor very well. Sometimes when she accelerated too fast, she quickly slowed down. Sometimes when it was too slow, she suddenly accelerated. Therefore, the speed was sometimes fast and sometimes slow. If it was someone with a weak heart, they would probably be scared to death. "Whoa, Wei, what kind of bicycle are you riding? How can it move by itself?" Just when Mo Lingwei was about to completely control the electric bicycle, a person that Mo Lingwei had been missing for the past 2 days came into the courtyard, Yin shouting. This guy saw Mo Lingwei riding a cool bicycle. He couldn't help but exclaim. Seeing Yin shouting, Mo Lingwei smiled sweetly. "Ah, little Ning, you're finally back. Ah, get out of the way. Get out of the way. I can't control this bicycle anymore." It turned out that this girl only cared about talking and made a small mistake when she was turning the corner. Just as she wanted to brake, she pinched the wrong spot. The electric bicycle screamed wildly and rushed toward Yin, shouting at an even faster speed. Chapter 1439. Wei Er, be careful. Yin shouting forgot to dodge when he saw that Mo Lingwei was getting closer and closer to him. Perhaps he consciously forgot to dodge because the gate of the courtyard was right behind him. There was a threshold at the gate, and it wasn't low. If Mo Lingwei were to crash into it, she would definitely fall. Little Ning, get out of the way. Get out of the way. Mo Lingwei shouted when she saw that Yin shouting was frozen on the spot. She thought that he was scared out of his wits. However, Yin shouting was still standing on the spot. He didn't move at all, as if he was really scared out of his wits. Let me be your meat cushion. The fear in Yin shouting's eyes was instantly replaced by determination. He wasn't as skilled in martial arts as Li Zixuan. In the face of such a dangerous situation, he couldn't resolve it in a split second. He could only use his body as a shield to block the damage for Mo Lingwei. Yin shouting was even more determined to be a meat shield when he thought about what his father said to him after he returned home. He was getting closer and closer. When Mo Lingwei was less than a foot away from Yin shouting, she clearly saw the determination in Yin shouting's eyes instead of fear. At that moment, she finally understood. Little Ning, are you stupid? Get out of the way. Mo Lingwei could feel a drop of tear rolling down from the corner of her eye. She shouted at Yin shouting in a heart-wrenching manner. Yin shouting could only shake his head in a split second. Before he could say anything, the bike was already close to his clothes. Bang! A loud noise sounded in the courtyard. It wasn't the sound of a bike crashing into someone, but the sound of someone stepping on the ground. Yin shouting wasn't hit by the bike, but he was pressed to the ground by Mo Lingwei, who lost control of the bike due to the strong inertia. However, at the critical moment, Li Zixuan flew forward and pulled the scooter that was speeding forward. He stomped on the floor with one foot and immediately stopped the scooter's forward momentum. It was also because of this that Mo Lingwei flew out of the scooter uncontrollably and crashed into Yin shouting. Bang! There was another loud bang. This time it was the sound of two people hitting the ground. Accompanied by a shriek, Mo Lingwei's entire body fell onto Yin shouting's body. Due to the inertia of the fall, her head also involuntarily fell down, quickly approaching Yin shouting's face that was twisted in pain. Time and space seemed to have stopped at this moment. At this distance, Mo Lingwei could clearly see the fine hairs on Yin shouting's face and the beads of sweat on his forehead. They could even feel each other's breathing. Mo Lingwei looked at the man who was pressed under her body. She felt her heart beating even faster. Oh no, that was the feeling of being moved. Roar! Wei Er, get up quickly. Ouch, my old waist. This was supposed to be the most heartwarming moment of the hero saving the damsel in distress. But at this moment, our hero was very unromantic. His cry of pain completely broke the warmth. Mo Lingwei secretly rolled her eyes and said, "Oh." Then she got up from Yin shouting's body. Ouch! Ouch, ouch, ouch. Wei Er, help me up quickly. Yin shouting also wanted to get up from the ground, but when he turned over, he felt that his waist was about to break. When he was pushed down by Mo Lingwei just now, his waist just happened to hit the door sill. If he didn't use his hand to cushion his waist at the critical moment, his waist would probably have broken. Mo Lingwei was still angry at a certain someone for being unromantic. At this moment, when she saw Yin shouting's face full of pain, she knew that Yin shouting didn't have a light fall this time. She immediately panicked. Little Ningzi, are you okay? Yamacho, quickly come and take a look at little Ningzi. Mo Lingwei carefully helped Yin shouting up. At this moment, she remembered that Li Zixuan knew medicine, so she quickly turned her head and shouted. Actually, she didn't need to shout. Li Zixuan was already walking over at this moment. Xiaoxi, quickly go and get Dr. Sun. Li Zixuan skillfully helped Yin shouting up from the ground without letting Yin shouting exert any strength on his waist. Then, he ordered Song Xiaoxi. Yes, young master. Song Xiaoxi also knew that the situation was urgent. He responded and directly rushed out of the courtyard with his fastest speed. Yamacho, even you can't cure little Ningzi? Mo Lingwei's eyes were red, and she asked with a sobbing tone. This girl thought that Yin Xiaoning's life was in danger from the fall and couldn't be saved. Her heart was filled with grief, and she couldn't help but cry out loud. Li Zixuan was speechless at Mo Lingwei's somewhat excessive reaction. After a moment of silence, he said, "Ink girl, it's true that I know some medicine, but massage and bone setting isn't my strong point." Xiaoning fell on his waist. "It's better to get Dr. Sun here." "Oh, I see." Mo Lingwei suddenly understood. Her face relaxed, but then she nervously asked, "Yamacho, is little Ningzi's injury serious?" "Waiter, don't worry, I'm fine." Yin Xiaoning forced himself to support his body and turned his head to smile at Mo Lingwei. "Aya, little Ningzi, you don't talk anymore." "Yamacho, quickly think of a way to save him," Mo Lingwei said with a nervous face. Li Zixuan saw that this girl was scared out of her wits, so he comforted her. "Just now, I used my true qi to check Xiaoning's lumbar vertebrae. Some of the vertebrae were displaced. After Dr. Sun's massage treatment, there shouldn't be any major problems. Miss Mo, you don't have to worry." "Oh, thank you, Yamacho." Mo Lingwei immediately breathed a sigh of relief and said, "Let's quickly help Xiaoning to the bed." Li Zixuan quickly said when he saw Yin Xiaoning's painful appearance. The few of them helped Yin Xiaoning to the nearest room and let him lie on the bed. In order to relieve Yin Xiaoning's pain, Li Zixuan used his inner force to carefully nourish Yin Xiaoning's injured parts and quietly waited for Sun Simiao's arrival. At the same time, on the Cloud Mountain, two old men who were over 50 years old sat opposite each other at a stone table in front of a Cloud Mountain courtyard. For thousands of years, millions of Maha's disciples have been dedicated to benefiting the world and the people. However, because of the changes in the dynasty, they have experienced many twists and turns. It's not easy to pass it down to this day. It's really admirable that Mr. Mo was able to abandon the prejudice of family background and join the engineering school to develop Moism in this way. An old man in a white Confucian robe with white hair took a sip of the immortal tea and sighed. "Minister Yin, you're too serious. I'm ashamed to say that I'm not able to develop the knowledge left by the divine ancestor. I'm really ashamed to face all the ancestors of the Mahist family." An old man in a black robe sat on the other side and said with a wry smile, "That's right. The two people sitting opposite each other were Yin Lide and Mo Huai. One was the Minister of Works of the Imperial Court, while the other was the current Mahist family's great son. The two of them were completely unrelated. Logically speaking, they would never cross paths in their entire lives. However, because of a trace of fate, they were able to sit at the same table and talk cheerfully today. Mr. Mo, you're wrong. Now that Moism is declining and Confucianism dominates the world's knowledge, it's basically impossible for the Mahist family to establish a sect and recruit disciples like before. Only by relying on the engineering school can we have a chance to prosper. Mr. Mo, you're adapting to the situation and making the most correct decision. Even if the divine ancestor of the Mahist family were still alive, he wouldn't blame you for this. Because everything Mr. Mo is doing now is for the good of the world." Yin Lai cupped his hands and said. Mo Huai was stunned. He paused and said, "The reason why I agreed to join the Yamacho and joined Yinhuan College was because I took a fancy to the philosophy of the engineering school. It's similar to my Mahist family's. Now, I can't even tell what the engineering school is. What is the Mahist family? I'm really a little obsessed." Yin Lai couldn't help but laugh. "We're both helping the world and the people. Why is there a need to distinguish between schools? I think the original intention of the Mahist family's divine ancestor was to benefit the world and the people and not to make the Mahist family the #1 school in the world, right?" Mo Huai fell silent when he heard that. A moment later, he raised his teacup and said, "It's said that the onlooker sees more clearly than the person involved. Minister Yin, as an outsider, you've solved the confusion in my heart for a long time. I'll replace wine with tea and propose a toast to Minister Yin." Ha! Mr. M.O., you're too polite. Yin lied smiled, raised his teacup, and drank it from a distance. Ha! I heard that Mr. M.O. has a daughter who is talented and intelligent. She's proficient in the way of machinery and things. Moreover, she became the first female professor in Yanwang College. Her profound knowledge is evident from this. I think it's also because Mr. M.O. taught his daughter well that he was able to raise such an outstanding daughter. After drinking a cup of tea, Yinlai took the opportunity to add more water and change the topic with a smile. M.O. Huai's heart skipped a beat when he heard that. He was finally talking about the main topic. He wasn't stupid. He knew that Yin lied, as the minister of the 6 ministries, wouldn't come all the way here just to chat with him. He must have other things to discuss. As expected, after 3 rounds of conversation, Yin lied finally revealed his foxtail. Minister Yin, you flatter me. My daughter has been spoiled since she was young. Not only does she not learn needlework, but she also likes to study strange things. It's really against a girl's gentle and virtuous character. I've embarrassed myself in front of Minister Yin. M.O. Huai cupped his hands. Yin lied waved his hand and said, Brother M.O., you're wrong to say that. Ink Girl has talent in engineering. That's her own good fortune. Others can't even be envious of her. Such an extraordinary woman is as rare as phoenix feathers and Chelan horns even in the entire world. It's unfair to deny everything about her just because she doesn't know needlework. From Mr. M.O. to Brother M.O., Yin lied changed the way he addressed M.O. Huai to shorten the distance between the two of them. At the same time, he secretly told Mo Huai, I don't mind that your daughter doesn't know needlework. What I value is your daughter's talent. Mo Huai's eyes flashed and said, Minister Yin, as the Minister of Works, your standards for judging people are indeed different from ordinary people. Speaking of my daughter, this old man would like to talk to Minister Yin about your son. Yin Lied was shocked and thought to himself, here it comes, here it comes. He quickly straightened his face and said, Oh, Brother M.O., are you talking about my son? That kid is always idling outside and doesn't make this old man feel at ease. There's nothing to say. M.O. Huai laughed and said, It's still the same saying. The onlooker sees the game clearly. As a person in the game, how can Minister Yin see your son's outstanding qualities clearly? Your son is protected by Minister Yin and is born in an official family. He has never had to worry about food and clothing since he was young. He should be like the rich playboys in the capital, playing with dogs and chickens all day long and loitering in brothels. However, he didn't. Instead, he became Yacho's right-hand man. Yanwang College and the workshop have all been invested with young Master Yan's energy and blood. With such a talent in the Yin family, why worry about not being able to bring glory to the family? Yin Lied's old face immediately wrinkled with a smile. After all, as a father, it was impossible for him to not be happy when someone praised his son, not to mention that M.O. Huai might be his future in-law. Ha! Brother M.O., you're too kind. You're too kind. How can my son be as good as you say? Yin Lied waved his hand and said, Your daughter and my son are about the same age and have similar interests. As elders, why don't we give them a push behind their backs and make this marriage happen? We'll become in-laws from then on. How about it? Marriage proposal. At this time, Yin Lied saw that the time was right and finally expressed his real intention. Marriage proposal. Previously, he sent someone to call Yin Xiaoning home to ask if Yin Xiaoning had a sweetheart now. Yin Xiaoning was the only son of a Yin family. Yin Lied had always been concerned about Yin Xiaoning's marriage. Therefore, that day at the entrance of the palace, Li Zixuan only casually mentioned it, and Yin Lied immediately called Yin Xiaoning back. After he found out that Yin Xiaoning's sweetheart was M.O. Lingwei, the daughter of the current generation of the M.O. family, he immediately sent someone to collect all the information about M.O. Lingwei. It didn't matter if he didn't look, but when he did, Yin Lied was immediately shocked. He was shocked by M.O. Lingwei's talent, and even more shocked by M.O. Lingwei's status in Yanwang College. In addition, M.O. Lingwei's background, the daughter of the M.O. family's master, made Yin Lied approve of this marriage from the bottom of his heart. At the very least, both parties of this marriage were completely well-matched in terms of social status. Although the Mo family was in decline now, it was still the Mo family. It was the Mo family that had experienced thousands of years of hardships and still stood strong. The Mo family's master was the Mo family's master. He was the Mo family's master who had hundreds of thousands of disciples at his peak. In terms of status, Mo Huai wasn't lower than Yenlide. One of them was a powerful figure outside of the imperial court, while the other was an important official in the imperial court. Logically speaking, they should be on equal footing. Therefore, Yenlide came today to personally test Mo Huai's attitude. This kind of thing could only be tested secretly and couldn't be said directly, because if he was rejected, the Yin family would really lose face. Mo Huai's heart shook violently. Then, he restrained the shock on his face and said, "This old man also knows that my daughter and young master, Yin, have the same interests, and this old man and Minister Yin are like-minded. Therefore, since Minister Yin has spoken, how can this old man refuse?" You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.